just off near Highway 12 to the north through Paynesville, Cold Spring, Collegeville, up near Brockway Piers, and then at the very north of this is where we have our latest tornado warning that was just issued. Now this is for, here's Morrison County, and then here's the one I was just talking about. This is for Mille Lacs and also Morrison County until 6:30 p.m. This is for thunderstorm producing a tornado located near Piers or 13 miles east of Little Falls, moving east at 60 miles per hour. So we now for McLeod County also have a confirmed tornado near Glencoe, just 9 miles southeast of Hutchinson, moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. So we're just basically seeing this entire line of storms, seeing either severe thunderstorm warning, which I would say predominantly either 2-inch diameter hail, or also looking at tornado warnings associated with this. We're going to go ahead and get over to Frank and Amelia, and I'll go ahead and get some more of these tornado warnings updated and be back with more in just a second. Okay, Lisa, thank you. As we go ahead and show you some shots, we want to show you what's happening in the St. Cloud area right now. We have a couple of vehicles up there and some folks as well. Here's a shot from downtown St. Cloud. You can see some of the dark skies as we look in downtown St. Cloud, and the mobile weather lab is driving north in some rain, heading towards those clouds. It's on the way towards St. Cloud right now. So glad to have you with us, everyone. Very active, busy weather afternoon with tornado watches and warnings, and as Lisa mentioned, even some confirmed tornadoes on the ground.
Absolutely, and Lisa has been keeping an eye on things. Lisa, you said this is a very fast-moving storm, and you had talked about this last night, and you knew something like this was going to happen. I don't know if you realized just how many tornado warnings were going to be issued.
Yes, exactly. Well, here's where we have this line of storms. The thing is, this was predicted pretty well because we noticed this line based upon forecast models actually did a pretty good job. That being said, this is what we're dealing with here. So again, what our current tornado warning count is up to 4, and this is stretching just off to the northeast of Wilmer through St. Cloud, Little Falls, and then just making your way to the east of Little Falls there. So we're going to continue to see this line from just off to the west of, well, excuse me, just off to the south. I'd like to look just off to the southwest of the Twin Cities. As we look out to Glencoe, this is where we have this latest tornado warning in place. So we're going to continue to watch this one make its way toward Lester Prairie. So tornado warning associated with this for McLeod County until 6:15 p.m. And this storm just making its way further off to the northeast. We have meteorologist Mike Augustianak here. Let's go ahead and see what he's tracking there in his home studio.
Hi, Lisa. Yeah, I want to update you. We will get back to the tornado warnings in one moment, but I do want to let you know that we have a new severe thunderstorm warning to tell you about as well. That's for this. It's the northern half of Lake Mille Lacs. So if you have friends that are out on the lake right now and maybe they're not paying attention to the weather, but you have a cell phone or a way to get a hold of them, make sure you get in touch with them. There's a new severe thunderstorm warning until 6:30 p.m. for Aiken and Crow Wing counties. And this is a storm that could potentially produce a tornado. Obviously, this line all the way south of Lake Mille Lacs down to just to the west of Wilmer has had some tornadic thunderstorms embedded within it, and actually we did just get a new tornado warning that I'll update you on. But again, if you have folks on Lake Mille Lacs, make sure that you get in touch with them and send them indoors and that they take shelter. New tornado warning here that just popped out. We're going to see what the timing on this is. It goes until 6:30 for Aiken, Cass, and Crow Wing counties. So let me give you a little better context as to where we are here, zooming out just a little bit. So we are in the northern part of Mille Lacs County, and it looks like the center of this storm, or at least the most dangerous part of the storm, is located just now to the northeast of Emily. That is this area here. with, let's see, the radar is going to be in Duluth, so that would be wind blowing that direction toward the radar there. And it is indicating that we have some rotation going on. Let me switch modes here, actually, and we'll go over to storm relative. There we go. That's a little better view. So there's your outbound reds showing raindrops blowing away from the radar in Duluth, and then your inbound greens, that location is where we may potentially have a tornado. What I'm going to do is put a storm track on this. This storm, or the most dangerous part of the storm, is moving to the northeast at about 40 miles an hour. And again, this is a radar indicated tornado, but this is such a strong signature that the National Weather Service has put a warning on it anyway. So the storm will be headed across fairly open parts here of northern Mille Lacs County, but it will be getting close to 169 and passing south of Hill City if this signature holds together here in the next 20 to 30 minutes. What I'm going to do here is actually switch modes, and then we're going to go through a tour of all the tornado warnings. And this is a different mode that occasionally you may have seen us use so far this summer. This is our debris tracker. And actually, I'm going to put that thought on pause because we have yet another tornado warning that's come out. So we'll give you an update on this one. This looks like it is for Stearns County. New tornado warning until 6:30 p.m. For eastern Benton County, northwestern Sherburne County, and east central Stearns County in central Minnesota. This is a cluster of tornado warnings. I actually count 3 here. So the new one that just came out is actually this one right here, I believe. But we also have a tornado warning that includes Cold Spring for the western part of Stearns County, and another tornado warning that goes for another 10 minutes in Benton, Morrison, and Stearns County. That tornado warning is, let's see, this is for a storm capable of producing a tornado that's located over St. Joseph or near St. Cloud, moving east at 45 miles an hour. So I'm going to put a storm track on the strongest part of this storm here. And we're actually going to switch over to this mode, again, to put a little closer pinpoint on exactly where the most dangerous part of this storm is. Looks like it's right here. So here's that storm track. Let me move this out of the way for you and tell you that Sartell should be moving to your safe place right now. Same thing at St. Francis Xavier. In Sauk Rapids, the storm will be near you at 6:09. 6:26 at Gilmanton, 6:29 at Foley. So if you're in the path of this storm, again, take cover for a radar-indicated tornado. Now, what I wanted to do while Lisa continues to gather some reports is switch over to our other mode here. And I want to show you, this is what's called our debris tracker. And this actually looks at when the radar beam is bouncing off what's in the air. It can tell how chaotic motion is within that radar beam. It can also tell what size the particles are that it's sensing are. And if we have a wide dispersion, a wide variety in sizes of particles, that means those aren't raindrops. That could mean either we're looking at hail, or if there's enough dispersion, it could be not only just hail, but also debris from a tornado. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. This tornado warning, again, let me just remind you, is running until 6:15 for parts of Meeker and Stearns County. I would suspect that this storm will require a new tornado warning. As you can see, it's moving off to the east and is almost out of that warning polygon. This signature that we're seeing right here, Lisa, and we'll bring you in, this is definitely indicating to me that we have debris, and this tornado is creating damage of some sort, be it dirt and trees or crops or something worse like homes. That is a serious storm. It's headed for the intersection of Highway 22 and Highway 55 in parts of, let's see, that would be Meeker County.
Yes,
Lisa,
exactly.
are you with us?
Yes, exactly, Mike. Let's go ahead, and we have a shot looking out to St. Cloud right now. We have an interesting shot. We have let's go ahead and pop up that picture that we have, that live look, or picture out at St. Cloud that we have there. Interesting on... Okay, well, let's go ahead and go back to our radar picture. We do have the tornado warning in place, as Gusty was saying. We'll stick with that. Just off to, especially if you were in St. Cloud, you want to make sure safe place. That is again where we have we've had reports of debris noted in the air, so this definitely lines up with what meteorologist Mike Augustyanek was saying for Meeker County near Paynesville. We've reports of a tornado on the ground, also debris noted in the air. So that just also helps to back up what Mike was saying there with that tornado warning that is currently making its way towards St. Cloud. So again, if you are in the St. Cloud region, make sure you go to your safe place, lowest level of your home, where we do have put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. This is what I was talking about here. This is looking out towards St. Cloud. We had interesting cloud formation just moments ago here on this picture. Now you can see we are clouded over in this area. Again, this is where we do have the tornado warning. So again, Stearns, Sherburne, and also Benton counties underneath this tornado warning. And I want to make sure we zoom back out so we can follow where we have all of the tornado warnings stretching from the northern part of the state all the way through to the west of the Twin Cities and to the south. So further up to the north, the tornado warning in place there. Aiken, Cass, Crow Wing counties. The cluster of storms that we've been looking at and the potential of seeing some damage, of course, are these ones closer to St. Cloud. So anyone that is in the St. Cloud region, that is definitely where we have not only noticed and the tornado warning due to radar indication, but also we're getting reports on the ground from spotters stating tornado and also debris in the air. So if you are in the St. Cloud region, a tornado warning is in place for you there, and this will continue to go until 6:30 p.m. as this storm is continuing to move off to the east. It's near St. Cloud and it's moving to the east at 45 miles per hour. Off to the south of this storm, that's where we have this other tornado warning. So in Cold Spring, you are also underneath the tornado warning. This is for Meeker and also Stearns County until 6:30 p.m. This storm is moving predominantly to the northeast at 40 miles per hour. And then off to the south, we have the one more isolated tornado warning, and it looks like Lester Prairie and Silver Lake, close to where we have that tornado warning in place. I think the area to focus in on for the most part would be just where we had this other tornado warning that has popped up here. Mille Lacs and also Morrison underneath this tornado warning. This storm is moving to the east, or it's just off to the east of Little Falls, moving to the east at 60 miles per hour. Let's go ahead and get another update here from meteorologist Mike Augustyanek.
I mean, Lisa, let's be honest, this is just a complete mess, and I say that not to be dismissive of it. This is a serious situation, but we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 either adjacent or overlapping tornado warnings. And it is a mess in the sense that these tornadoes will not be easy to see. If you think that you're going to go out on your porch and look for them before you go to your shelter, don't. This whole area from Watkins to Cold Spring to St. Cloud up to Gilman and farther north as you head up toward Piers and the southern shores of Lake Mille Lacs, some of these tornadoes are rain wrapped and they are hard to see. That's an extremely dangerous situation to be out being a tornado tourist. That is not what we want you doing this evening. Again, a new tornado warning actually just in the past few minutes was issued for that storm I was telling you was moving very quickly to the east out of that old tornado warning. So here's the new one for a larger chunk of Meeker and Stearns County until 6:30 p.m. Here's what to do if you are in any of these communities, and we'll zoom out and show you a wider view in a second. If you're in any of these communities that are under a tornado warning, you want to, as Lisa has been saying, put as many walls between you and the tornado as possible. So if you're home, you want to go to your basement, or if you don't have a basement, go to your interior room on the lowest level of your home. Stay away from windows. Windows turn into shrapnel if they get broken, either by wind, hail, or something flying through the air like a tree limb. If you're outdoors or in a car, you need to seek shelter indoors if you can. Sheds, storage facilities, mobile homes are absolutely unsafe. If we have enough lead time on these warnings, we can get you out of those into a safer place. If you're driving, the old and still partially some of the current suggestion is if, as a last resort, you can't get your car to a safe location, you should probably get out, get into a ditch that's not prone to flooding or does not have water in it, and and cover your head. If you are in a newer vehicle, there's some research that shows if you put on your seatbelt, hunker down, duck down, the safety cage and the airbags within your car may do a pretty good job of protecting you. Here is the watch warning map as we go through, well, 8 o'clock to the west of the Twin Cities, including this severe thunderstorm warning for southwestern Minnesota, and this tornado warning just west of the Twin Cities. Those watches go until 8 o'clock tonight. This new severe thunderstorm watch goes until midnight tonight, and it looks like we have 2 new warnings that just came in. And so we will take a look at those, and actually I'm going to send it over to Lisa. It looks like Itasca County is under a warning, and we also have, let's see, Carver, Hennepin, McLeod, and Wright County. She has an update on those for you.
Yep, here we have the severe thunderstorm warning for Carver, Hennepin, and McLeod, and also Wright counties till 6:45 p.m. We are tracking the potential of 2-inch diameter hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Now, a lot of these storms here, notice the northeasterly trajectory moving from the southwest to the northeast with some of these storms. They're moving at about 30 miles per hour, so they should be making their way in toward Delano and then off to the south there in Belle Plaine. That's where we also have the one severe thunderstorm warning. Here's the latest. Starting up to the north, we have the tornado warning still for McLeod County, and then as we drop further off to the south, this is that cluster that Mike was talking about there. So still a tornado warning until 6:30 for Mille Lacs and also Morrison counties there. That storm predominantly moving off to the east. Then as you make your way down to Benton, Sherburne, and also Stearns County, we have that tornado warning in place, and also Meeker and Stearns County underneath the tornado warning. And then I'll go ahead and clear these out here so that you can see the latest severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued. This severe thunderstorm warning, which also does encompass the tornado warning for Benton, Mille Lacs, Morrison, Sherburne, and Stearns counties until 6:45 p.m. for a severe storm near Collegeville. It's just 10 miles to the west of St. Cloud, and this is moving to the east at 45 miles per hour. Again, the St. Cloud area, you are underneath a tornado warning. You should definitely be in your safe place. The latest when it comes to our reports coming in from some of these storms, we have some of these are just radar indicated, and some of them we have reports of debris being lofted in the air, and also some damage reports with them. So zooming
Lisa,
out.
I understand that we actually have some damage pictures. I'm going to check for sure with our producer, but I believe if we have them, we can pull them up right now. There's some pretty shocking images and some really good, clear pictures of some of these tornadoes that have been happening, and I'm going to actually see if we can get some hints as to where these are from here as we bring those up. The tornadoes earlier in the day were sort of more out in the open, and they were a little easier to see, but everything that we have seen indicated on radar, as you can see, this line is indicating that some of these tornadoes perhaps are rain wrapped right now, and they're very difficult to see. So again, a wider view shows you that we have that line of severe weather, either severe thunderstorms, which at times have been producing tornadoes, or actual tornado warnings for spotter confirmed tornadoes. That line of warnings runs from Lake Mille Lacs all the way down to now just north of Hutchinson. I'm told now that we have some of those photos, so I'm actually going to be seeing them for the first time along with you, and we'll take a look at those. Here's one that's southeast of Hutchinson. And I'm not quite sure what time this was taken, but I do know that Jonathan Larson is the person who took that picture. Not quite sure if we're able to see that at this point. There it is. Now we're on a picture from Brownton. These are clearly very well-defined funnel clouds, and in this case it does look like some of these tornadoes, given sort of the haze between the tornado and the vantage point from the camera, are indicating that some of rain has been falling. So this is Lynn from Brownton. Let's see, we have a new we have a new tornado warning that just came out as well. So while we continue to maybe cycle through some of those pictures, I'll check on this. Here's a live view, in fact, from downtown St. Paul. We're on the eastern side of this, and we're waiting for this, of St. Cloud. I take that back, I'm sorry. Downtown St. Cloud, just some pretty crazy pictures as St. Cloud is sort of the center of all the activity. Heavy rain now starting to move in from the west, but the worst of the storm, and again, potentially a tornado embedded in some of this rain, is not quite to the city of St. Cloud yet. It is set to move in, though, just in the next few minutes. So if you're watching us in St. Cloud, great. Watch us on TV. Don't watch these storms from the porch. We'll bring you the pictures as we can. So one last check here of the radar, because we did have a new warning that came out. This is a tornado warning until 6:45 p.m. for now the northern part of Meeker County. Litchfield, the city of Litchfield and the city of Forest City is located in this warning. The warning is indicating that this tornado is radar indicated and not confirmed by a spotter yet, but that's no reason not to take cover. So again, from Litchfield to Forest City, Frank and Amelia, make sure you take cover. We're going to take a closer look at what's going on, and for now, toss it back to you for some updates.
Okay, thanks. Really busy, active day, everyone, as kind of Chris alluded to yesterday and is now really coming true, as we have two meteorologists following it for you. We want to go ahead and give you a little bit of a visual tour of what's happening north of the Twin Cities right now.
Yeah, right here. This is a look at downtown St. Paul. As you can see, it's St. Cloud rather. Rain coming down heavy right near. This is sort of the epicenter. I think this is where all of that movement seems to be going towards that area right up there, up 94 to St. Cloud right there. And as we heard Mike and Lisa saying, we've had like the tornado warnings keep developing. I mean, just in the last 5-10 minutes, 6 warnings so far, and I think they just continue to grow at this point.
I believe Lewis, our photographer, is on top of a parking garage roof here. He's trying to be as safe as he can. As you notice when he zooms in, as his camera gets underneath the lights of the bridge that goes over the river, you can really get an idea of how heavy and the rain is coming down. And in the distance, beyond the bridge, there was a flagpole. 5 minutes ago, you could see it. You couldn't see it now, but that flag is perpendicular with the horizon. The wind is really blowing strong, and this shot that Lewis is providing for us right now gives you an idea of just how heavy the rain is, which literally in the last 5 minutes is coming down much harder than it was before. We want to make sure he stays safe. Wind-blown rain, multiple tornado warnings. Mike called it a mess. It's a dangerous mess, and you need to heed these warnings.
Absolutely.
I know, Amelia, you have some pictures we can show where we've actually seen funnel clouds, tornadoes that viewers have sent us, but the skies are getting darker in St. Cloud, and it's an area that people need to heed some caution.
We're getting this. This is from Jonathan Larson, southeast of Hutchinson. He's saying this is another photo of Friday night severe storms. And so that there is, it looks like a funnel cloud, and that's from Hutchinson. You're talking a little bit about the wind. I know that the wind gusts going up to 60 miles per hour at some areas. We're going to see some more. People are sending in some pictures. Here is Lynn from Brownton, Minnesota. Some storm here. You can see in the far back there, in the background, it looks like a funnel cloud, perhaps the same one that we saw from the earlier picture. Lisa Meadows is going to join us right now, has an update on things. Things are really moving quickly, Lisa.
Yeah, a lot of these storms have been moving to the east at 55 miles per hour earlier. So here's our latest. Want to make sure everyone is aware of where these storms are. So notice you have the Twin Cities there, and then off to your west where we have some of the new tornado warnings that have been firing up. So predominantly looking out to, again, the St. Cloud area. This is where we've had the tornado warning for Benton, Sherburne, and Stearns County until 6:30 p.m. If you are in St. Cloud, you need to be in your safe place right now. Same deal for Foley and also for Palmer as the storms continue to move off to the east. This is the other tornado warning in place for Meeker and also Stearns County, Watkins, Cold Spring. This storm is moving off to the northeast. You could see it with that tornado warn polygon there, why they have drawn it that way. So if you are especially off to the northeast of that, you need to be in your safe place. Here's where we have Meeker County underneath this tornado warning until 6:45 p.m. So locations looking out toward Litchfield. And then the latest tornado warning that has just been firing up near the Mille Lacs and also Morrison area. You are also underneath a tornado warning. We're going to go all the way up to Aitkin County. Also a tornado warning in place there until 6:30 p.m. Zooming out, the severe thunderstorm warnings and the tornado warnings basically stretch from the northern part of the state all the way down just off to the southwest of the Twin Cities. There's a bit of a break there, and then notice further off just to the southwest of the metro where we have a couple more pockets of some storms associated with this. So I do want to remind you that we have the tornado watch that is in place until, well, the severe thunderstorm watch goes until midnight. That includes the Twin Cities, the majority of the metro that is there in the pink, also for western Wisconsin. So we're going to continue to watch this threat move to the east, and it could make its way toward the Twin Cities. By that point, I think it will be more of a damaging wind threat. And then we have the tornado watch that is in place there further off to the west there. Let's go ahead and
Lisa, we actually do have now a tornado threat in the metro core. In the past few minutes, a tornado warning has come out for Carver, Scott, and Sibley counties. It goes until 6:45 for this cell that is just to the north of Jordan. What I want to do is loop this for you over the past hour, and you can see the movement of it moving in from west and moving just a little north of due east. Switch over to velocity mode here and sort of see what the National Weather Service is looking at. Not really seeing a great signature here. It looks like it could potentially be this right here. A rotating storm that's kind of on the northern side of this warning. And now yet another severe thunderstorm warning. This is a continuation downstream. We're now up into central Minnesota. And actually, let me again zoom out a little bit to give you a little bit of context. This is for the southern part of Lake Mille Lacs. Again, it's extremely important. I mean, there's already rain, thunder, and lightning on Lake Mille Lacs. But if you have family that may be caught unaware, on that part of the lake, the South Shore in particular, there is now a tornado warning in effect that includes the city of Isle. It's Kennebec and Mille Lacs County until 7 p.m. this evening.
Hey, Mike.
Let's take a look at this. Yes, sir.
Do you mind just reminding people the difference between a tornado watch and a tornado warning?
Absolutely. So a tornado watch is essentially, if we're making cupcakes here, a tornado watch is you've gotten all the ingredients on the counter and you're waiting to make cupcakes. They're there, but they're not mixed yet. A tornado warning means that we have those ingredients that have come together, and beyond that, it means that we either have radar indication of a tornado, we have a spotter who has confirmed a tornado on the ground, or if we don't have eyes on that storm, we can detect if there's debris being picked up or kicked up by that storm, and that would be the indication of a tornado. And in fact, unfortunately, as you can sort of see here, we do have that just to the south of Isle. What we're looking at is our debris tracker here, and I'm going to zoom way in. So this is at the intersection of Highway 27 and 47, right where Isle is. This is a strong indication that there is a tornado on the ground and that, in fact, it is creating damage and kicking up debris. Again, that's why we have the new tornado warning that's in effect until 7 o'clock for this storm. I'm going to loop this one more time, and I'm going to keep it on this view so that you can see where that, we call it a debris ball, where that debris ball is going. It's generally moving off to the, well, it looks like we lost it there. It's moving off to the east. Or just a little north of due east. So I'm going to put a storm track on it. Most of these storms have been moving east-northeast at about 40 miles an hour. So Pliny and McGrath, even though you're not under a warning right now, potentially you could be seeing this extended for you coming up in the next, well, 5 to 10 minutes. Let me zoom out a little bit. We'll show you again this string of warnings, and actually what I want to do is turn off the radar and just show you how far these warnings stretch. We're talking from way up in northern Minnesota to the east of Leech Lake, all the way down through Lake Mille Lacs, through the St. Cloud area, through southern Stearns County. We now have a tornado warning just to the northwest of Dassel, and we have a tornado warning for parts of Carver and Scott County. This new tornado warning is here. Tornado warnings on top of tornado warnings for this storm that is about to cross 169, and it shows strong rotation. and the potential that it could also be producing gigantic hail. So we're going to stay on the air, obviously, until this is done. But it looks like we're going to be in this for at least the next 1 to 2 hours. Okay. Sorry about that.
And we can go ahead and take a look. We'll go ahead and jump through the different tornado warnings for you, of course. Let's go ahead and
you know, Lisa, we should apologize to folks. We jumped to a commercial. It was just a kind of an automated technical thing, and we apologize for that. We're going to stay with Mike and Lisa and make sure that we stay on the air. So we're sorry about that little blip. This is important, and we want to make sure that everyone's aware of what's going on. So Lisa, Mike, please continue. Thanks.
Here's a look where we have some of the tornado warnings again stretching. This is just off to the east of Brainerd through St. Cloud and then down just toward Wilmer, and then the latest down into just off to the southwest of the Twin Cities. So Itasca underneath the severe thunderstorm warning till 7 p.m. Itasca County, that is, off toward Kennebec, Mille Lacs, and also Morrison. All of those counties underneath the tornado. Kennebec County, excuse me, Meeker County underneath a severe thunderstorm warning till 6:45, and then we want to make sure we focus in on that tornado warning just near Jordan, just to the north of Belle Plaine, in case you did miss that. Earlier, tornado warning here for Carver, Scott, and Sibley counties until 6:45 p.m. We're watching as this storm continues to move to the east at 35 miles per hour.
Can you storm track those since that's such a highly populated area as opposed to some of these other tornado warnings? I just wonder if to give folks a heads up of what might be coming their way in the Southwest Metro.
Yeah, let's go ahead and put this in. I'm going to put this at the last hour, and I'm going to go ahead and loop this because basically, if you look from Sand Creek near Belle Plaine, near Waconia, excuse me, and then up to the north, you have a mix of a tornado warning and then also severe thunderstorm warnings. So this is all obviously to the southwest of the Twin Cities. These storms are all moving to the northeast, and as Mike previously was saying, they've been moving about 40 miles per hour or so. So as this tornado warned storm, which is just off to the southwest of Shakopee, continues to make its way off to the east, as with a lot of these storms, I think we're going to continue to see either just embedded tornadoes with these, or also I think that the damaging wind threat is going to be also an issue as this entire line continues to push a little bit further off to the northeast. Let's see if we have meteorologist Mike Agustianak. Would you like to maybe go over some of the things that you did say on some of those storms closer to the Twin Cities? I think we missed some of what you had said previously.
Oh, no problem. Well, let me remind everybody what to do if you are under a tornado warning or honestly a severe thunderstorm warning at this point. These storms are cycling between producing tornadoes and not. So at this point, I would treat any severe thunderstorm warning as though it was a tornado warning and just take cover in your safe place. That would be a basement or interior room on the lowest level of your home away from windows. If you're outside, get inside. If you're driving, seek indoor shelter if you can. If not, you can park your car, hunch down, cover your head, and the safety cage of the car along with your airbags will do a decent job of protecting you. If that's not possible or you have an older car, a low-lying ditch, crouch down and cover your head is your best bet. There's a new severe thunderstorm warning. We'll get to that in a second. I want to, though, people are probably wondering, well, when is this over? This is an onslaught that we have not seen, frankly, around here in years. Let me show you the forecast. This is a computer model, so it's going to be partially wrong, but it's been doing pretty well today at determining what areas are going to be hit with severe weather at what times, even if these individual thunderstorm cells don't end up coming true for that specific community. So here we are now, those storms, the main line of storms to the west of the Twin Cities. I think we have another hour and a half to go before these storms are pushing east through the East Metro. They still potentially, though, could be producing severe weather along 35 on north up toward Duluth and in western Minnesota. As they move eastward toward our 10 o'clock news, I do think there'll be some weakening to these storms as we lose some of the heat of the day, but there's still a chance that in southeastern Minnesota and in west central Minnesota, from Eau Claire to Rice Lake to Hayward, even at 10 o'clock tonight, there may be some severe weather with these storms. And then as we head through the overnight tonight, we end up, I think, with quieter weather pretty quickly, probably by around midnight or so. Here's that new severe thunderstorm warning that we were talking about. I mentioned, although I'm not sure if you heard it earlier, that Pliny was under the gun and that I thought there might be a warning extended for that storm that was producing damage near Isle. That has happened. So this is now part of Aitkin, Carleton, and Pine counties under a severe thunderstorm warning for these storms between Malmo and Pliny, but also this storm right here, which has had the potential, or actually has had the history, I'm sorry, of producing tornadoes and some tornadic damage. I'm going to switch over here to this debris tracker once again, and it looks like we are still seeing some debris that's been lofted into the air. However, the radar signature on this storm says that it may not currently be producing a tornado, and in fact, you saw in that radar update that debris signature started to go away. So that's a sign that the debris is falling out of the clouds, which itself can be dangerous, but that the storm perhaps is not creating a tornado at this moment in time. Still, though, a tornado warning continues for Hillman, and in fact, we know that it's getting noisy in Hillman right now. Velocity indicating that even if these winds are not rotating, they still have the potential to do straight line wind damage, perhaps as high as 70 miles an hour. A tornado warning continues for Malacca. This is a line of storms that has had a history of producing tornadoes from time to time, and we still are seeing here a signature of perhaps some rotation to the west of Malacca that is headed in your general direction. We just got an update here that the tornado warning farther south for parts of Scott and Sibley County has just been canceled. And it looks like that's because that storm has shrunk in size a little bit. What we're looking at here is a different tornado warning in Carver County, and this is for what is very clearly some rotational signature on radar right here. It's kind of tracking along Highway 212 up toward Dahlgren, and again, this storm, like many, is moving at about 40 miles an hour, so I want to put a storm track in the most dangerous part of this storm as it heads up toward the metro core. So that means that these towns should be sheltering as this storm approaches. Cologne at, well, in the next minute and a half. Dahlgren at 6:42. Chaska, if this storm holds together, could potentially be visited by a tornadic thunderstorm at 6:49. Hazeltine Golf Course, 6:51. Again, if you have friends or family on the golf course, give them a buzz, shoot them a text, let them know this storm is on the way. Shakopee under the gun at 6:55, Chanhassen at 6:57, Eden Prairie at 7:01, and the airport there at Eden Prairie also at 7:01. Check the debris tracker here. I'm going to clear our storm track, and it's a little hard to tell if this signature that we're seeing right here is an artifact of the radar around Cologne, or perhaps what's more likely is some large hail. I'll put the hail tracker on it, and we could see, okay, so potentially just a radar artifact there. So unclear as to whether or not that storm actually has a tornado with it, but there is a tornado warning on it nevertheless. I skipped over a couple more tornado warnings that I want to update you, and then we'll get things back to Lisa for another update. Here are two tornado warnings adjacent to each other, sort of side by side in the Onamia area. And also coming into the southern part of Lake Mille Lacs. I mentioned that Malacca is under the gun for potentially a tornadic thunderstorm. Foley, you're under the gun for strong straight line winds and possibly some hail, as the storm on the southern flank of that cell is a little bit weaker. St. Cloud, we showed you a camera view about 20 minutes ago with torrential rain. That's headed toward Palmer right now, and also there could be some damaging winds with that storm. And now this tornado warning that is in effect for the Watkins area or Forest City area. Investigating this storm cell with our Doppler weather radar is showing that we don't have much rotation being picked up here, and I'm not seeing much on the turbulence, so I'm thinking actually they just expired that tornado warning. So there you go. So that area around Forest City and Watkins, even though we're still showing that warning, that should drop off in a second, and we are more or less all clear from those storms. And frankly, as we widen out one last time here and sort of show you what's coming up behind this line of storms, it's essentially nothing. So once this line of storms moves past you, this one that's now west of the Twin Cities, arcing from Leech Lake through Meeker County, once that goes by, you're done for the rest of the night, and that is good news there, Lisa.
That is. Hey, Mike, I just have a question for you. I know you have a lot, both of you have a lot going on. At this point, you're talking about tornado warnings expiring. How many do we have warnings are in place right now at the moment?
Looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, not counting that one that just expired but has not dropped off yet. So that includes part of the Southwest Metro. That's for this little storm right here, which is still showing signs that it could potentially be producing a tornado at any time as it heads toward Chaska. This is the tornado warning that was expired, even though it hasn't dropped off yet. This tornado warning for southern and central part of Mille Lacs County extends up toward Onamia and Isle. That did have a tornado debris signature on it earlier, and now we're starting to see perhaps a little more straight line winds taking over, as we can see this sort of bowing feature here to the south of Isle. So again, at this point, regardless of whether there's a tornado with this storm or there's quote-unquote just straight line wind damage, these storm cells are strong enough even with straight line winds to create some destruction. And hail has not been a big issue with them, but again, the straight line wind threat has been. And then here is that final tornado warning that makes up the 4 for the Hill City area. Again, it's remarkable how messy these tornado signatures are, which means from a ground perspective, from your perspective, as you can see from our mobile weather lab here, with rain falling that heavily, how can you tell if there's a tornado if you're trying to peek out your windows? You can't, which is why we really want you to treat these warnings seriously and just take the 20 minutes to take shelter. Bring us downstairs if you have a cellar with CBSN Minnesota. We're streaming live. You can get that on any mobile device, and we'll keep you safe from where you are safe.
Mike, you know, that was such a great point. I wanted to add that a little earlier for people who don't understand it or know. If you download our free app on your Android device or Apple, you can take your phone with you into the basement, into the bathroom, wherever, and you're not going to feel alone or out of touch. You can literally watch what's on TV on your iPhone device. So I'm glad you brought that up, Mike, because I think it's a really great safety tool, and I would encourage people to use it.
Let's go ahead and take a look at where we have the severe thunderstorm watches, tornado watches, all of these things in place. In case you are in the Twin Cities and you're saying this line's totally off to the west, what's going to happen here at my place? Well, we do have the severe thunderstorm watch. This has been put into place. This goes until midnight here in the pink, so pretty much have to watch out for any of those storms as they continue to push off to the east. Though they may not be a tornado threat, it's possible that we could see this transition more to a straight line wind threat as the storms push off to the east in toward western Wisconsin. Anytime there's a severe thunderstorm watch, again, as Mike was saying, that means the ingredients are right to see any severe storms developing out of this. So pretty much stay weather aware until midnight. Locations in the pink. Those ingredients for tornadic activity, for tornadoes, that's a little bit more right further off to the west in the yellow, and that's where we do have that tornado watch in place. So here's the line of storms. Again, red box means tornado warning. Orange box means severe thunderstorm warning. Still, though, we're getting some severe thunderstorm warning winds out of this that could be strong enough that could cause as much damage as what you're seeing when it comes to tornado warning. So either way, just make sure you make your way to shelter if you're underneath any of these. Zooming in, kind of sectioned it out here for you. Further up to the north, we want to make sure heads up as you look out toward Hill City. Tornado warning for Aitkin and Itasca counties until 7 p.m. and then the severe thunderstorm warning just up to the north. And you can see a little bit of a northeasterly movement with some of those, with that tornado warning. And then here's where I'll step off the map so that you can see where we have all of those lines of a lot of these are tornado warnings, and we're still focusing in closer to more and then further off to the south. Here's the latest when it comes to what is closest to the Twin Cities at this time. We have a tornado warning out into Carver County. Frank and Amelia.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. We saw the weather mobile lab that was moving out from St. Cloud and heading towards Minneapolis. And it's pouring down rain still at this point. And we do, here it is right here. And it's headed our way, as we heard from Mike and Lisa. We do have a lot of people who are sending us videos, some some pictures. And who is this? I think this
is west of Glencoe, according to John, and you can see in the back something forming there, but this is exactly in kind of that area that Mike and Lisa were talking about. When it's safe, folks, you can use the hashtag WCCO to share these photos. We also have the availability for you to send them to us at tips@wcco.com.
And here's a look at another, I don't know, of tornado, a funnel cloud, and this was spotted in Brownton, Minnesota earlier today.
And we have some other photos we'll go ahead and share and go through these. This one over water.
Green Lake near Spicer, that's where that is. And you can see the lightning, and it looked like there was something, the water was going up in the background there.
Yeah, it's so widespread that we've had it in a number of areas. This one comes, we've shown this before, this one comes from Hutchinson. So again, you can use the hashtag WCCO or tips@wcco.com. But again, don't be so enthusiastic to get these that you put your own safety at risk. And again, we'd encourage you to watch CBSN Minnesota. You'll see exactly what people are seeing on TV. You can just use your mobile device and be in your basement and watch an iPad or your phone or somewhere safe, because we want to make sure we stay on the air and get you the very latest information. And Lisa and Mike have more on that now. Lisa?
Yeah, well, I believe meteorologist Mike Augustyanek actually timed out what he's seeing with some of these storms from Becker going out to, Mike, are you there?
Mike?
Yep, I'm here. So we do still have tornado warnings in a few cases, but at this point, this line that we're seeing in central Minnesota, to me, is looking more and more like a straight line wind threat. Again, it's sort of academic at this point. It doesn't really matter. These storms are strong enough to produce damage, whether it's straight line winds or tornadoes this evening. But here's the leading edge of where these strong winds will start to pick up in what is now just a solid line of water stretching from Malmo into northwestern Wright County. So Ogilvie set to get some very heavy rain, possibly some damaging wind and hail in the next 4 minutes. Becker on the southern end of that line at 6:52. If you're in Princeton, be ready to seek shelter at 7 o'clock or just before that as the storms arrive. Baldwin 7:08, Zimmerman 7:11, Pokegama 7:17, and Bradford at 7:25. I mentioned Zimmerman, for example, and Princeton. That's getting pretty close to the Twin Cities metro, so I want to zoom down a little farther south here and sort of highlight the metro area, because we are starting to see some pretty heavy rain, and in fact there is a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of western Hennepin County, so the metro core starting to get a little closer in on the action. I'll loop this radar for you. This is a 2-hour radar loop. You can see how those individual cells are now starting to congeal into one long line, and the line itself now in parts of Wright County and also in Meeker County, not necessarily indicating much in the way of wind threat at this point, by evidence of the fact that there is no severe thunderstorm warning on these. And again, I'm not quite sure why this, oh, there, now it dropped off. I was going to say I have no idea why that warning is still up. That storm is long gone. Same thing here in our southwest metro, a storm that did at one point have a severe thunderstorm warning on it, now had a tornado warning on it, now instead has a severe thunderstorm warning on it. And this is going to track this storm toward and eventually over, let's see, that would be Lake Minnetonka. So the threat with this right now is damaging straight line wind and hail. However, this storm does have a history of at times producing a tornado in its past. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and 1-inch hail, though, is what we are currently concerned with. Keep in mind that these storms are also moving into an area that did not really get much, if any, rainfall today, and they're progressive. That means they're actually moving along as well. So that's good news. However, these storms up here are moving into areas that got a lot of rain, or at least some rain earlier today. I want to turn on the precipitation tracker over the past 24 hours. Heaviest rain by far last night fell out here, back toward Alexandria and Ottertail. But these rainfall totals are no slouch. We'll take a look here, and these are rainfall estimates. 1.4 inches of rain, 1.5 inches of rain. If we get another 1 inch of rain, it's certainly possible here that that will happen in the next hour. We could have some standing water, and we want to remind you, in fact, we just saw earlier this week what happens if you drive where there's standing water. Some guy or girl in Hennepin County in Minneapolis submerged their very fancy car because they thought they could drive through water that wasn't moving. You not only do not know how deep the water is, but you also don't know if the road is washed out beneath it. And in cases, that can be an even more dangerous scenario than just having a ruined car. New severe thunderstorm warning just popped up for this complex of thunderstorms around the Hillman area. This is for Kennebec County, and this runs until 7 o'clock. This storm, or this line of storms, at one point did appear to be producing tornadoes. There is no sign of that right now, even though there are still active warnings. I'm not really seeing anything here that would suggest to me that there are tornadoes with this. However, large hail is certainly possible. And so we still want you to take cover from Hillman to Knife Lake to Quamba. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I'm not familiar with that name. We'll zoom out one more time here and show you that there are more severe thunderstorms along with heavy rain. I mentioned that warning in Pliny. And then looks like here, I mentioned the heavy rain and the flooding potential. We have a combination of tornado warning in and around Hill City, severe thunderstorm warning for Grand Rapids and Greenway, and now a new flash flood warning that just came up as well for that same area. So let's see if we can get the system to tell us the timing and location on these. So the flash flood warning now for Itasca County goes until 9:45 p.m. The severe thunderstorm warning for Itasca County goes until 7 p.m. And I'm relatively certain yes, that tornado warning that's in effect for parts of Aiken and Itasca County is still very much valid. We are still seeing some signs of rotation here, with raindrops being blown toward the radar on the south side of this rotation and away from the radar here. That's indicating an area of rotation and potentially a tornado that could be on the ground, or a storm that could produce a tornado at any minute. So we've got the triple threat today, Lisa. We've got flooding, we've got tornadoes, we've got damaging straight line winds and hail all possible. Yes,
exactly, Mike. And what you were talking about, that severe thunderstorm warning for Kennebec County there, just near Knife Lake, it's looking as if we're seeing a little bit of bowing to that storm. So as opposed to as opposed to a tornado warning being issued there until 7 p.m., this is a severe thunderstorm warning, and that is due to the potential of 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts as this continues to push off to the east. And as Mike and I were talking about earlier, it is possible that a lot of these storms, as they continue to progress further east, could become more of a straight line wind threat. But right now, the latest when it comes to the tornado warnings in place, we have the ones that Mike just previously pointed out. Let's give you an update on the two tornado warnings now that we're seeing them kind of fall off enough to where you can see a little bit more clarity as to where we have the tornado warnings, as opposed to them being right on top of each other like we did previously. So we do still have this severe, tornado warning until 7 p.m. Just off to the south and west of Mora. That's where we have the tornado warning, and then once you get a little bit further up to the north, we're still seeing another tornado warning. This is just off to the north and to the west of Knife Lake. But again, we're watching for a little bit of bowing with some of these storms as they progress further off to the east. And let's get a little bit closer. Let's check back in. We do have the one severe thunderstorm warning. We do not have that tornado warning off to the southwest of Shakopee anymore. That has expired. We do still have a tornado warning severe thunderstorm warning just off to the southwest of Minneapolis here. This does include Hennepin and also Carver counties underneath the severe thunderstorm warning due to 60-mile-per-hour winds. Mike?
I did actually see that the Metro Skywarn reports rotating wall cloud on that storm in Carver County at 6:46 p.m. So it's clear that that storm that you're looking at there on radar still has something funky with it, and it is definitely worth kind of in your own mind making that severe thunderstorm warning a tornado warning, at least treating it that way, and taking cover as that storm moves up toward Hopkins, for example, and Mound. We have a new tornado warning that just came out for a storm that has sort of been cycling through wall clouds and tornadoes. The new tornado warning that just came out for Pliny is for a storm that earlier this evening was also producing a tornado. I'll show you the details on this. It's for Aitkin County until 7:15 p.m. And as we take a look now at radar, this is our velocity, and it's showing that once again we have a rotational signature here. That's raindrops being blown that way and that way. And so the center of circulation, at least the center of mid-level circulation, is right over Pliny right now. Now I say mid-level circulation because this radar, the closest radar that we're using, is actually located in Duluth. And as the radar beam goes out from the radar site, it goes higher and higher into the air. We're at about 52 miles away from the radar site here. So the radar beam is sampling these moving raindrops in this circular motion quite a bit off the ground, probably at about 5,000 feet. So the concern, though, from the National Weather Service is that this rotation will at some point come in contact with the ground and perhaps produce a tornado. Back to our debris tracker here, looking to see if we've got any debris that's been lofted into the air by this storm, and at this point, at least as of the last radar update on this particular type of parameter, we don't really see that. What we're seeing here is actually more indicative of hail, but again, treat this storm as though it could produce a tornado at any time. I'm going to switch to velocity. We're going to put a storm track on the most dangerous part of the storm because that's what velocity allows us to do, see where those rotations are. And this is moving off to the northeast at about 35 miles an hour into a relatively open part of that county. However, still keep in mind, if you're in the path of the storm, you should be taking cover from it. Let's see, new severe thunderstorm warning. This one is for St. Louis and Itasca County. This was the storm that Lisa mentioned is showing that Boeing signature right here, that 70-mile-an-hour wind potential. Still looking like this storm has the potential to do that as it's moving out of the Greenway area into areas just to the south of Hibbing. So what I'm going to do is put a storm track on the most dangerous part of this storm. It's moving a little faster than the rest. Keewatin, you should be taking shelter now because you could have up to 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts coming your way in about 5 minutes. Hibbing also could be seeing that at about 7:08, and then we'll see if this storm holds together and actually does reach Iron Junction or Eveleth. If that were to happen, that would be in about 40 minutes or so from now. A reminder that we do have tornado warnings a little farther south here as well still for storms that have been sort of cycling through wall clouds and tornadoes, producing tornadoes from time to time. See this little notch right here? We call that an inflow notch, and that's indicative that we have a strong updraft, but also that we could have some rotation in there. A new severe thunderstorm warning just came out for this storm as I was talking about it. It's for parts of Isanti, Mille Lacs, Kanabec, and Sherburne County. This storm is part of a line of severe weather that's moving off to, well, this is moving a little faster now, off to the north at about 65 miles an hour. So I'm going to do a radar loop for you on it. We'll get a sense of the motion. Yeah, that's really picked up intensity and speed in the past 10 minutes or so since we last checked in on it. So I'm going to put a storm track on this part of the storm, move it off to the east at about 60 miles an hour. Here are some of the towns that should be taking cover from these potentially damaging wind gusts. Comfort at 658. Brunswick at 6:59, Pokegama again at 7:06, Pine City now moving toward Pine County, provided this storm holds together at 7:12, Rock Creek at 7:19, and Grantsburg, Wisconsin, if it holds together at 7:33. I'm just going to keep going because now there's yet another tornado warning that just came out. We once again have overlapping tornado warnings. This new one is for parts of Itasca and Aitkin County as we get into a bit of a mess again as these storms continue to cycle through intensities and at times put down wall clouds. Let's see. This looks like it is a radar-indicated tornado for this tornado warning that goes until 7:30 for parts of Aitkin and Itasca County. That's the northern warning. The southern warning down here goes until 7 p.m. And again, we are continuing to see the potential for a tornado to be dropped from these storms at any time. I'd like to stop talking, but I'm going to just keep going because we keep getting new warnings that pop up here. This is a large warning that was just issued for that same storm that I was just talking about. They look like they have extended the warning farther east because, well, not because I was tracking storms, tracking cities out of that first warning farther east. They noticed the same thing. the National Weather Service in the Twin Cities, that is, and so they extended that warning to include those towns that I mentioned to you a few minutes ago. A little closer in, back now to the Metro Core as we show you this storm, which still, at least according to a spotter about 8 minutes ago, was producing a rotating wall cloud, which is sometimes the precursor to a tornado. And you can sort of see all these little weirdnesses in the colors here on the velocity. That's turbulent air, and those are areas where we could have a brief tornado spin up pretty quickly. The turbulence product here not really showing a lot of turbulence, which says that as the National Weather Service has indicated, with a severe thunderstorm warning instead of a tornado warning, we don't have an imminent threat of a tornado right now, but don't let your guard down as the storm continues to track off to the northeast into the Metro Core. I mentioned about 15 minutes ago that this line here is the last of it. So we have some heavy rain, non-severe thunderstorms from Hutchinson to Brownton set to move into Winthrop and through parts of let's see, Renville and Redwood counties potentially, also Sibley County, but this really is the last of it. So as I widen out here and show you the state, the good news here is that we are going to be done with these storms in central Minnesota probably in the next hour or so. In fact, let me give you a reminder as to what to do if you're under a tornado warning. Lowest level of your house. If that's a basement, great. If it's a bathroom on the interior of your home on the lowest level to the floor of your home, that's good too. If you're outside, get indoors. Sheds and storage facilities and mobile homes are not safe places to be. If you have enough warning from these storms, go to a neighbor's house, go to a shelter, go to a school or something that's open, and make sure that you take your mask with you too. Obviously, we have multiple issues this evening, not just weather. If you're driving, try to get indoors if you can. Here's the computer model that has been doing the best job of giving us the scenario, how today would play out. It's still doing a pretty good job. You can see it's a little slow moving this line to the east, but it's close, and so that means that I think by the time we get to 8 p.m., a lot of the Metro Core will be done with the severe weather threat. However, we will still at that point have a chance for severe weather extending from the Iron Range to around Duluth into west central Wisconsin, perhaps down the I-35 corridor to around Owatonna and Albert Lea until 10 o'clock. And then at that point, these storms are going to be weakening as they race off to the east and move into Wisconsin, taking with them the severe weather threat. You've noticed here, or now at least we can point out to you, that we have seen Storm Prediction Center and local National Weather Service offices chipping away at the western side of these watches that have been out since earlier this afternoon. As I told you, that last line that's located about here is it, and once it passes, it's done. So the tornado watch has now been canceled for the Alexandria area, for Traverse and Big Stone counties. Still in effect for Redwood Falls, but again, give it probably another 20 minutes to half an hour and the threat will be done there. We still have our severe thunderstorm watch for a few counties in southwestern Minnesota, but that's pretty much the same deal, coming to an end quickly. And then this is a severe thunderstorm watch here for the Metro Core on east. I mentioned it would be a few more hours before we're done, so that watch is still solidly in effect until midnight tonight.
And Mike,
Lisa,
you can see why the severe thunderstorm watch continues to extend into that area, because this is where we do have the line of severe thunderstorm warnings and also tornado warnings in place. So let's go ahead and take you through. We kind of have three sections that we're looking at here. The one down into the close just off to the southwest, still looking at a severe thunderstorm warning, and this is to the southwest of Minneapolis here. Carver and Hennepin counties underneath this severe thunderstorm warning until 7:15 for 60-mile-per-hour winds or also quarter-size hail. This storm is moving to the northeast at 40 miles per hour. So again, that is more of a wind damage threat that we're going to watch. Once you head a little bit further up to the north, we've seen a lot of these tornado warnings kind of expire recently. The one out toward Isanti, also Benton, Kennebec County, those have expired. So we do have the severe thunderstorm warning. This is the one that we've been watching for the potential of 70-mile-per-hour winds coming in out of this. This severe thunderstorm warning does go until 7:30. So if you are just between basically Mora to the south, that is where you could be dealing with 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, obviously strong enough to where close to or even at tornadic wind speeds either way. What about the latest when it comes to those tornado warnings? There's an update with the latest tornado warning. So they did just kind of take off the back edge of this one tornado warning. and that is for Aitkin County till 7:15 p.m. This is a radar indicated rotation there, and this is for a storm that is just to the northeast of McGrath, or moving to the northeast at 40 miles per hour. We also have this severe this tornado warning from Aitkin making its way toward Carlton, and this goes until 7:30 p.m. And then once we head a little bit further up to the north, we are still tracking this tornado warning in place here. And this is mainly moving off to the northeast for Aitkin and also Itasca County until 7:30. It looks like we did get an update closer to the metro. We do have another severe thunderstorm warning here. Did you want to cover that, Mike?
No, I just was trying to help here. Yep, a new severe thunderstorm warning for western and northwestern parts of Hennepin County. That just came out for what looks to be perhaps a damaging wind threat as we switch over to our velocity mode here. We're seeing some winds, and this is pretty close to the radar side, so this is pretty close to what's actually happening at the ground. You can see some winds sampled at about 40 miles an hour along Highway 12, or actually over Highway 12 around Delano, and some more here that are just excuse me, to the southeast of Hanover at about 40 miles an hour. There also potentially could be a little bit of hail in here. Let's take a look on our hail tracker. Yep, it sure does look like there's some hail, and this is the area that's most likely to see it. It's sort of on that Carver and Hennepin County line. It looks like up to quarter, perhaps golf ball size hail that's moving off to the east, and will probably clip the northern part of Lake Minnetonka coming up over the next short while. So a severe thunderstorm warning until 7:30. I think in downtown Minneapolis and St. Paul, we probably have another half an hour or maybe 40 minutes before we start to be dealing with some thunder and some lightning and some rain. So if you have anything last minute that you want to do, perhaps secure some of the patio furniture, I think you probably have time to do that. Wouldn't you agree, Lisa?
Yeah, I mean, I do have the timing of some of these severe thunderstorms, the severe thunderstorm warning here. So the Hennepin and Wright County here until 7:30 p.m. We do still until for Brooklyn Center, you're looking at about 7:23, Crystal 7:17, and again we are looking, when it comes to severe thunderstorm warning, we are looking.
I wouldn't feel right leaving Lisa alone. Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, Lisa. Apparently my mic's open. I was just indicating that I'm going to stick with you for the rest of the evening here.
Because that's how we are. Thank you very much, Mike. I have your back as you have mine. Thank you. Looking further up to the north, let's go ahead and check out this one severe thunderstorm warning just to the south of Mora. So let's go ahead and zoom out and take a look at everything here on the board. The tornado warnings now are 3 of them, and they're predominantly further up to the north. The ones closer to, all the warnings closer to the Twin Cities are more so severe thunderstorm warnings. Not that they're not important, it's just we're tracking the tornado warnings, and then we'll get right into those severe thunderstorm warnings. So just up to the north where we do have the tornado warning, make sure you're aware for Aitkin and Itasca counties until 7:30 p.m. This storm is moving predominantly to the northeast at 40 miles per hour. Also, as we look out to Aitkin and also Carlton counties, severe thunderstorm warning in place there. Same deal as we look out toward Aitkin County, that goes until 7:15. Then as we get further off just to the north of the metro there for North Branch and also Mora, that's where we have that severe thunderstorm warning in place, and we're tracking with this one. This is that same storm where we were looking at storms moving to the northeast at 65 miles per hour. This goes until 7:30 p.m. for Sherburne, Isanti, Kanabec, and also Mille Lacs counties. These are bringing that potential of quarter-size hail and also 60-mile-per-hour winds. And then as we get closer to the Twin Cities, I'm going to go ahead and clear out where we're seeing the timing here of this storm and getting a little bit closer to Minneapolis and off to the southwest. As Mike was saying, we do have some time before we start to see this push on in a little bit closer. Here's the wide view, and here's where we have non-severe storms all off to the west there, stretching all the way up to the tornado warned storms further up to the north. And here's a look you can see in downtown Minneapolis. We do have just some cloud cover in place, nothing moving into downtown Minneapolis, of course. Just yet, just seeing these the severe thunderstorm warnings moving through Minnetonka, also making their way in toward Plymouth. So any of these locations near Plymouth, just up to the south of St. Michael, that's where we have the current severe thunderstorm warnings. And again, the main threat with these severe thunderstorm warnings, as opposed to tornado warnings, would be 60-mile-per-hour winds or also quarter-size hail. Frank and Amelia?
Thanks, Lisa, and thanks, Michael. We want to kind of give you a little tour visually of what's going on. People have been using the hashtag WCCO and also sending us things at tips@wcco.com. And this is a new picture for us that's coming out of the Southwest Metro.
Yeah, this is in Victoria. She said nothing but scud on the back edge of this thing in Victoria. God,
boy, it sure looks ominous, doesn't it?
Huge cloud just. That's I'm being told that's a fast straight line right there. You can see that. And I'm telling you right now in the downtown Minneapolis, it has gotten so dark within the last 5 minutes. And here the rain isn't messing around. That's in Dassel, near Dassel right there. And is that from our very own John Lortzen?
It is, yeah. John's out driving there, so we appreciate him taking the time to safely send us something. And here's the ones we saw earlier where you just see really this definitive, dramatic funnel cloud. This one was from Bronton earlier, so we appreciate someone sending us. They're in their car as well. Thank goodness they're heading the opposite way. And I believe, did this one come out of Glencoe earlier?
This one
Amelia?
is Glencoe, and this person, John, is saying that this is a tornado in progress. Where, I mean,
now, granted, that was 45 minutes ago, folks.
Yes.
So don't freak out if you're in Glencoe right now. That's why we've got Mike and Lisa to show us. But we want to just give you some of these.
We're just going through some of them because these are all ones that we have seen before. We're just
a lot of pictures, and this is one of the more new ones that comes out of Victoria. So again, if you can, use the hashtag WCCO. Don't worry about us first. Worry about your safety first. Use tips@wcco.com. And Amelia and I encourage you to use our free new improved WCCO app, because you can press one button and you'll get CBSN live, which means you could be in your bathroom or basement with your phone or your iPad or whatever device you have, a laptop, and you can watch what's going on. You don't have to feel like you're isolated or alone.
And this right here, this is a look at the mobile weather lab. They're at north of Monticello, rather. They were in St. Cloud earlier. And as you can see, cars pulled over to the side there. Clearly the rain coming down pretty heavy, unable to see when you're driving like that.
Yeah, well, not only not to see,
see,
but it's hard to get some traction, and all this is kind of heading our way a little bit from the north and also a little bit from the southwest, and that's why we have Mike and Lisa standing by to show us what's going on.
Mike?
So take it over, Mike.
So we've been on the air for about an hour and a half continuously now, and we've had this crazy line of tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings, but I'm checking with Xcel Energy, and at this point they're reporting only 233 customers are out of power in the state of Minnesota, which is pretty impressive, and also sort of speaks to the fact that I think a lot of these storms just happened to hit some more wide open areas, even though they were still dangerous, obviously. We're in decent shape. Of course, if your power's out, you're not in great shape. You don't feel that way, but we're in decent shape from a power outage perspective right now. What we're looking at here are the active watches and warnings as we continue on WCCO and CBSN Minnesota at 7:09 on Friday night. There are still a few active tornado warnings up north of the Twin Cities, and that's these boxes here. We have a tornado warning that's in effect until 7:30 for parts of Itasca County, another one for parts of Aiken and Carlton County until 7:30, and then a little farther south, a tornado warning in effect for sort of southeastern Aiken County until 7:15. There's a severe thunderstorm warning for Itasca and St. Louis counties until 7:30, a large severe thunderstorm warning for a line of thunder showers or thunderstorms that at times have been producing some rotation and at times have been producing some straight line wind damage. Kanabec, Mille Lacs, and Sherburne County under that severe thunderstorm warning until 7:30 p.m. And then in and around the Twin Cities Metro, particularly the West Metro, we have Hennepin, parts of Hennepin and Wright County under a severe thunderstorm warning until 7:30. That would be the western half or so of Hennepin County, and then the eastern half or so of Hennepin County under a severe thunderstorm warning until 7:15 p.m. New severe thunderstorm warning just came out, and let's see what that's for. for. That's for this Boeing line of thunderstorms that I was talking about. Again, we knew that as we got later into the evening, our tornado threat would shift more to a damaging straight line wind threat, and we can sort of see how this line is bowing out here as it crosses I-35 between Sandstone and Windermere. That's an indication of some straight line wind damage possible, and that's why the National Weather Service has issued this severe thunderstorm warning until 8 p.m. for up to 70-mile-an-hour winds. Some of the locations impacted include Hinckley, Sandstone, Barnum, Solon Springs, Ascove, Webb Lake. We also have Dairyland, that's in Wisconsin. It is a storm that's moving off to the east or a little north of due east at about 55 miles an hour. So not only is it producing a lot of wind, it's also moving very quickly, and that forward motion of the storm itself can actually enhance the winds locally in some cases. So again, here's some of the times of arrival. Windermere, just getting into it right now with some of the heaviest rain and wind coming in the next few minutes. Bruno at 7:15. Holyoke at 7:34, Dairyland at 7:42, and Blaine at 7:45. The hits just keep coming here. A new severe thunderstorm warning for LeSueur, Sibley, Nicollet, and Scott County just came out seconds ago until 7:45. This is for wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour, and this storm too is moving pretty quickly, although not quite as quickly, at about 40 miles an hour. So I'll put a storm track on this new severe thunderstorm warning as well. Looks like it's probably going to clip LeSueur. Yep, at 7:20, and Henderson at 7:26. Again, the biggest threat with this is the potential for damaging wind gusts, but we're still not completely out of the woods from a tornado perspective either, as these storms have just sort of been cycling in intensity and have at times been looking like they're about to die off and then flare up again and turn into a real troublemaker. Still no rain quite yet in downtown Minneapolis, but as we take a close look here, you can see Highway 12 and 394 are getting hammered with some pretty heavy rain. St. Louis Park's just barely in a severe thunderstorm warning. You're on the northeastern fringe of that warning that goes until 7:30. The eastern part of Hennepin County. I'm sorry, that's until 7:15. But showers just about now to move into Minneapolis. The heaviest rain is still a little ways away, and the threat for any kind of wind is probably 15 to 20 minutes away, the way I see it right now. I want to turn on the lightning and see, that's one thing we haven't talked about recently, is lightning. You can see, though, these storms are still producing a lot of lightning, which is dangerous, but also means that the updrafts that are feeding warm, moist air into these storms are sustained, and that these storms are showing no sign of diminishing. In fact, a new severe thunderstorm warning just replaced the old severe thunderstorm warning for western and northwestern parts of Hennepin County until 7:45. Is that right? No, I'm sorry, that's not right. See, there's so many warnings I can't even keep track. This is the warning that goes now until 7:45. This is a new warning that's popped up, and it includes a storm capable of producing 60-mile-an-hour winds. It's headed toward Henderson at 7:26, Blakely at 7:36, and Belle Plaine at 7:41. Lisa, I know you have too. I've been looking at some of the storm reports that are being fed to us directly from the National Weather Service in the Twin Cities, and I really haven't seen many additional storm reports, nor have I seen any storm spotters, and they are all over these storms today, indicating that they're seeing any more rotation or wall clouds or anything like that.
Right, and that goes to show how with the severe thunderstorm watch being lined up just to the east of where we had that tornado watch in place, that we are more so looking at a lot of these severe thunderstorm warnings as opposed to tornado warnings, or at least that's what was anticipated as this line continues to push off to the east. If you remember, off to the west, we did have a lot more tornado warnings as opposed to severe thunderstorm warnings. So severe thunderstorm watch, again, in effect till midnight. That is for locations in the peak, including the Twin Cities. The tornado watch will probably continue to fall off as we look just off to the east there. Let's take a look at, we do have a photo here of some damage. This is looking out toward Isle. You could see a report of tornado, they believe tornado damage out in Isle. Some trees basically falling down on a car there. And then we're still continuing to watch these severe, it looks like we have another severe thunderstorm warning that did pop up just a little bit close. This is just to the northwest of Plymouth. A severe thunderstorm warning is in place. This is for, again, Hennepin and also Wright County until 7:30 p.m. And this is for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and also quarter-size hail. As this storm is moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. So if we go ahead and loop it, you can see where we have this just off to the south of Rogers. And as we zoom out a little bit more, the severe thunderstorm warnings are predominantly through the Twin Cities Metro up to the north through I-35, where we have this looks like a Boeing line segment in place there along I-35 from Sandstone toward Moose Lake, and that is making its way further toward underneath the severe thunderstorm warning is where we have Dairyland. This goes until 8 p.m. and when you're seeing this type of a Boeing line segment, then it is more likely that you're looking at that 70-mile-per-hour wind gust is the main threat with this storm further off to the east. We do still have a couple of tornado warnings in place further up to the north. We're down to 2, so now we have 2 tornado warnings further up to the north in place. The rest of the warnings are, of course, severe thunderstorm warnings. So this tornado warning, Aitkin and Carleton County until 7:30 p.m. for this storm moving to the northeast at 25 miles per hour. It's just about 12 miles to the southeast of Big Sandy Lake there. And then the other tornado warning is in kind of in this cluster of storms further up to the north, just off to the southwest of Hibbing. Tornado warning still for Itasca County until 7:30 p.m. and this is a radar indicated tornado. This is just about 13 miles southeast of Grand Rapids, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. And then we do have that severe thunderstorm warning just to the north of that in place, along with the potential for some flooding in those locations. So zooming out, this line of storms basically stretching further off to the south and to the southwest. So let's go ahead and get over to meteorologist Mike Augustyanek.
Actually, should we clear some cities here and let people know that if you're watching us in Marshall, in Wilmer, in Alexandria, in St. Cloud, in Brainerd, in Bemidji, you're good, you're done. This is behind you. You have a nice weekend on the way, and your severe weather threat is over for at least the next 4 to 5 days, the way it looks to me. The fuel is clearly running out on these storms, even as they're still heading toward the Twin Cities Metro, and we are going to stay on until these storms get a little closer to the main line of storms, gets a little closer to the Metro, and until we start to see some of these severe thunderstorm warnings drop off. But you know what? Actually, let me go back, and I'm going to run this loop over the past 6 hours for you and show you how much more intense, just based on the reflectivity on the radar, how much deeper those reds were along and south of I-94 a little earlier in the evening hours and a little earlier this afternoon compared to what we have now. Now, yes, we do have active severe thunderstorm warnings for parts of the southwest metro, for areas just north of Mankato, through parts of Nicollet and Sibley counties. And so there are some pieces of these storms that are still capable of producing damage. However, overall, again, it looks to me like a lot of the thunderstorm fuel has sort of run out. And actually, what I'm going to do is switch over here to, this is a combination of radar, which you're used to seeing, and thunderstorm fuel. And if you're a weather nerd like Lisa and I are, we'll just tell you what this is. This is CAPE. And it's showing, these shaded areas here are showing where we have enough instability and moisture to keep these storms going. There is certainly enough to keep storms going. However, the amount of CAPE, the amount of thunderstorm fuel we see, for example, up here where this Boeing line segment is potentially producing 70-mile-an-hour winds, it's starting to fall apart as we lose the heat of the day. This southern line of the storm here, that's in a much juicier, much more unstable part of the entire region, and yet those storms really aren't doing a lot. So all of this is adding up to, I think, what will be a slow wind down, but a wind down nevertheless coming up over the next couple of hours. I do want to get back, though, to sort of a more traditional radar view, and we will show you again the strongest storms, the most dangerous storms, the way I see it right now, and they're all at this point north of the Twin Cities metro and in fact heading up toward the North Shore. So we'll start on the northern end of this line. Lisa kind of called this a mess. This is absolutely a mess. It's heavy rain, a lot of lightning, embedded localized street and flash flooding. There is a flash flood warning that's in effect until 9:45 p.m. For Itasca County, for an area that just in the past 6 hours, according to radar estimates, has picked up over 5 inches of rain, or close to 5 inches of rain. You can see these bullseye areas here just to the northeast of Grand Rapids and then just to the northwest of Hill City, averaging 4.5 to 5 inches of rain. But we also are still seeing some spin-ups, some occasional spin-ups, and a chance that some of these storms could be producing some tornadoes, especially here in this tornado warning area just to the northeast of Sago. That's for parts of Itasca County for about the next 9 minutes, and we'll see if the National Weather Service lets that warning expire or if they continue it, but at this point it is still in effect. This here around Hibbing, this is a severe thunderstorm warning that includes another part of Itasca and St. Louis counties until 7:30. Some of the winds that we're seeing here on this are pretty impressive. Again, they're pretty far off the ground, pretty far overhead, but still these winds here, and perhaps even a little bit of rotation, indicating up to 60 to 70 mile an hour winds a few thousand feet over the ground. So that's why there's a severe thunderstorm warning on this. Virginia, people in Virginia should be getting into their shelter at this point as this storm moves in, because once again, damaging straight line winds to 70 miles an hour in some cases can do more damage than tornadoes. Certainly these winds are more widespread than a pinpoint tornado would be. A little farther down the line, we have some non-severe thunderstorms just south of that area, crossing Highway 2 around Haugen, and then we get into another tornado warning just to the southeast of Haugen. This tornado warning has been in effect for a while, and this again is a very kind of messy radar signature, but Aiken and Carlton County in these areas under a tornado warning until 7:30, still showing, even though the reflectivity, the precipitation view of this isn't especially impressive, this still is. We still have a little twist here. This could be some cold air flowing out of the thunderstorm, but there is a tornado warning on it, so we need to respect it and keep in mind that this area of potentially tornadic thunderstorm is pushing off to the northeast at about 50 miles an hour. I want to switch over quickly here to our spectrum width, which is our turbulence product, and there actually is quite a bit of turbulence in here, so that's probably not a downdraft flowing out of a thunderstorm. That potentially could still be a tornado, and quite frankly, on our debris tracker, this is giving me an indication that there could be debris in the air in this relatively open part, or this relatively open area of the country, across areas just to the north of the Twin Cities. Again, this tornado warning goes at least until 7:30. However, we may have it extended for Carlton County as the storm continues to move off to the east at about 40 miles an hour. I'm going to widen back out. We'll switch to our more traditional storm spotting mode. Here's that giant severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect until 8 p.m. for the potential for damaging straight line wind gusts, perhaps in excess of 60 miles an hour on what is a really fast moving line of storms off to the east or a little north of due east at about 50 to 55 miles an hour. I want to clear these watches and warnings so you can better see these towns. Holyoke, get ready for potentially damaging winds coming up at 7:32. Dairyland at 7:39. Webb Lake at 7:51. Again, we're going to say if this holds together, but at this point this line has been holding together quite well and doesn't show any big signs of decreasing at this point. By the way, a new severe thunderstorm warning just came out for St. Louis County. We were just up there looking at that storm. I'll get back to it in just a couple of minutes. Here's another fairly large severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect for areas from Mora to Baldwin, just to the west of North Branch. That's parts of Isanti, Kanabec, Mille Lacs, and Sherburne County until 7:30 p.m. Again, what we're seeing here is the potential for up to 70 mile an hour straight line winds. And here on our velocity signature, as we take a look at these winds right here, Oh, sorry, wrong mode. We're going to show you what the radar is detecting here, and it's winds aloft that are anywhere from 50 to 55 or 60 miles an hour. So again, that's why we have the severe thunderstorm warning on this storm. The strongest part of this storm is moving off to the, well, a little north of due east at about 45 miles an hour or so. So I'll put a storm track on that for you, and it's going to pass just south of Mora. But Mora, you are under a warning, so you should be taking cover if you haven't already. But Brunswick at 7:33, Springvale at 7:28. Moving a little farther south down the line, getting a little closer into the Twin Cities metro. We did have a severe thunderstorm warning for eastern parts of Hennepin County here that was just canceled by the National Weather Service. That part of the storm looks pretty weak and pretty benign, aside from some heavy rain and of course lightning, which can always be dangerous. But this part of the storm here, just to the northwest around Medina and Delano, so that would be northwestern Hennepin County and a little sliver of Wright County, that does look like it could be producing some pretty strong winds, perhaps up to 60 miles an hour, and that is moving actually a little bit more northward, so heading up toward Elk River. While most everything else has been moving northeast, that's moving more northward at about 30 to 45 miles an hour. And one last severe thunderstorm warning that's up for what appears to be, again, damaging straight line winds. It includes the cities of Watertown and Waconia. It's parts of Carver, McLeod, and Wright County until 7:45 that we have that warning. We'll take a quick look at velocity and show you some of the wind speeds here. Winds are looking fairly gusty, but at this point, this storm doesn't appear to be producing a ton in the straight line wind department, but that could always change, so that's why we have a warning there for the next half an hour. One last warning to talk about as we go north to south down our line here. This one is for around Le Sueur, but this storm is also drifting up toward Belle Plaine. Severe thunderstorm warning until 7:45 p.m. for what will likely be some gusty winds, but also potentially hail up to the size of quarters. Hail has not been a big issue with these. There certainly has been some hail, Lisa.
Yes.
These have really mostly been wind and tornado makers for the most part.
And as you had previously alluded to, that severe thunderstorm warning in St. Louis County that you had mentioned and then started going down the line, the details on that, you could see that that is mainly due to 70-mile-per-hour winds, and a lot of these storms have been pretty much blowing over trees or also power lines. So that is the main threat with a lot of these when they're not necessarily tornado-warned storms, but still 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. 65-mile-per-hour to 85-mile-per-hour winds are what you get when it comes to a smaller scale tornado. So that is definitely why they're very serious when it comes to even just severe thunderstorm warnings. But this is that St. Louis County tornado warning until 8:15 p.m. You can see it making its way toward Virginia, just off to the east of Hibbing. And then we do still have those two tornado warnings that are in place when it comes to tornado warnings, at least. Those are just off to the just looking out toward Aitkin and Carlton counties, still seeing this tornado warning until 7:30 p.m. and also for Itasca counties until 7:30 p.m. Those are our two tornado warnings on the board. We are looking at this bowing line of severe storms down, making its way toward Dairyland, just near Swiss. This brings in the potential of seeing 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts out of this storm, so we'll continue to watch as this line pushes its way off to the east. That is the main threat with that storm. And then as we head a little further off to the south, let's get closer to the Twin Cities. We just now started to see hear some rain outside here in downtown Minneapolis. We still have some of the severe thunderstorm warnings just off to the west, looking out to the west of Maple Grove. This severe thunderstorm warning for Hennepin and Wright County until 7:30 p.m. And this storm is moving predominantly to the northeast at 35 miles per hour. So if you zoom in close enough, you can see it should just be making its way through Corcoran, just to the south of Rogers there. And then that one other severe thunderstorm warning is to the west of Mound. As we loop the radar here, you can see it's moving through Watertown and to the west of Mound. This severe thunderstorm warning is in place until, continuing to go until 7:45 p.m. This one is for Carver and also for Wright County. And again, with a lot of these severe thunderstorm warnings, I think we are looking mainly at strong winds as opposed to hail. We just haven't had very many hail reports. I do have the report map here. A lot of funnel clouds, or also reports of, we've had some, as meteorologist Mike Gustinak was showing earlier when he was showing the radar picking up debris and reports of debris on the ground, kind of showing that that is what a lot of these reports are coming in as. A lot of them are off to the southwest. Otherwise, further up near the St. Cloud region, we have the wind damage reports, but not really seeing a lot when it comes to any of the hail reports. So for the most part, I think as these storms continue to progress toward the Twin Cities, where we have the severe thunderstorm watch as opposed to the tornado watch, that's put in place because we are predominantly looking at straight line wind damage coming out of these storms as they continue to progress toward the Twin Cities, which they should be doing so coming up here within the next hour. So not to say that they will be severe at the time that they move on in, as a lot of them are actually kind of losing their energy as they continue to do so, but that is just the timing. I know our forecast models we're bringing them in between 6 and 8 across the Twin Cities, and it does look like a lot of that is coming in with the right timing with a lot of these storms. So here's a little bit of a closer look here across the metro. I'm going to put this in motion. This right here is a 1-hour radar loop. You can see storms just off to the east of East Bethel there, stretching further off to the south. If it's a 1-hour loop, that does give us a few more hours before we'll start to see some of these storms push on in. But again, lightning still a hazard. Their severe thunderstorm warnings are not issued when it comes to lightning. You just don't want to be outside if there's any severe thunderstorms moving on through. Of course, as they can be producing lightning, even if they're not severe thunderstorm warned, that is. When it comes to the one severe thunderstorm warning further up to the north, this is the one that has the potential of 70-mile-per-hour winds. This does go until 8 p.m. and it looks like it's continue to progress a little bit further off to the east, including Washburn, Pine, Douglas, Carlton, and also Burnett counties until 8 p.m. Again, probably looking at the potential of 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts with this. And zooming out a little bit more, the good news is it looks like a lot of our tornado warnings have dropped off. So now we are down to severe thunderstorm warnings, basically to the east of Hibbing toward White, excuse me. We have the one severe thunderstorm warning just along to the east of 35, making its way toward Dairyland, and then further off to the south, just to the west of the Twin Cities. We have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in place here, but we are not necessarily tracking any tornado warnings. Let's go ahead and take a look. Do we have meteorologist Mike Gustinak here with a little bit more of a detail with the timing?
Sure, yeah, we can do that, absolutely. Let's show you the forecast model. This is the one that we have been paying attention to all day, because while we know all models are wrong, and we tell you that a lot during the winter, this one is the least wrong, and it's actually been doing a pretty good job pinpointing the zones and the time that those zones will be under impact from severe weather. So this is the current forecast. This lines up really well with what's actually happening. I'll advance it to 9 o'clock, and again, at this point, we're going to start to see areas across the metro from west to east be cleared from the severe weather threat as the storms push past the I-35 corridor, enter western Wisconsin toward 9 o'clock, and potentially even down toward Albert Lee, we could have a little bit of a redevelopment of some stronger storms, although southern Minnesota this particular time has actually fared pretty well and has not gotten hit as bad as northern areas. By 11 o'clock tonight, as our news wraps up, our storms will be pushing eastward into Wisconsin. Still potentially a couple of spots strong to severe thunderstorms, indicating that potential around Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and Winona, and also up around Ely. But then as we continue through the overnight and as those storms push east into Wisconsin, they're really going to fall apart. So lucky us, we got the worst part of this storm as it came through during peak heat of the day. A wider view of the radar again shows you what's going on storm-wise, and it's this very narrow but very persistent line of thunderstorm activity that is still producing the odd severe thunderstorm warning from time to time. We just had a new one come out for parts of Hennepin and Carver County. And that appears to me to be, so some of these areas were under a warning already just a few minutes ago, with this area of rain that has pushed south, now lined up along I-94 from Maple Grove to St. Michael. This is a new potential for some severe weather. It looks like possibly hail, and that's why there is a new severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 8 p.m. We'll get real close on this here and show you some of the communities, and I'll clear my janky telestration. It looks like Hopkins, Mound, Victoria, Maple Plain, Plymouth, Eden Prairie, all under the gun for whatever mess is coming in here from the west. And I'll tell you that this part of the mess right here, this looks to me like a damaging straight line wind threat because of the way this is bowing out. So Mound and Victoria, we'll show you the motion here on these storms. This damaging straight line wind threat, perhaps up to 60 miles an hour, is headed your direction, and you should be in a sturdy shelter and on the lowest level of your floor right now, because again, sometimes severe thunderstorms produce damage, and often they do. Here a little farther to the south, we have another severe thunderstorm warning on part of the Minnesota River Valley. This has been out for a while. This severe thunderstorm warning goes until 7:45 for parts of LeSueur, Scott, and Sibley County. This storm is kind of drifting up from the north and brings with it a threat mostly for hail up to the size of quarters, but also potentially some damaging straight line winds. And it looks like we just had an extension here, perhaps, on our, a new severe thunderstorm warning actually for St. Louis County. So as soon as we wrap our discussion here of what's going on in the metro, I'll get you to that county up north. But again, here's the view. Sprinkles maybe moved through downtown Minneapolis in the past few minutes, but I'm looking at my rain gauge at home here live and I see nothing in it. Dew point is still 72, which means we haven't gotten any cold air, any rain-cooled air from these storms yet, and the barometric pressure is still falling. So front has not gone by yet. We are not out of the woods yet. We still have this to go. I mentioned the north central part of Minnesota where we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning, and there it is. It's just an extension of continuing to warn down the line on this bowing line segment, indicating strong straight line winds as it pushes off to the east at about 50 miles an hour. So Virginia, you should be in a sturdy shelter right now. Mountain Iron, 738, that's coming in just in the next minute, the strongest part of the storm, if it's not there already. Biwabic at 754, Pineville at 756, Hoyt Lakes at 806, and Babbitt at 8:15. Again, that's the most recent severe thunderstorm warning on the map so far. Let's see. What I'm going to do is take a look at the flood warning that came out. I'm not sure if we actually have covered this or not, but there was a new flash flood warning that was issued within the past 5 to 10 minutes. It's for parts of Itasca and St. Louis counties until 10:15 p.m. I did highlight this area earlier, some of the extremely heavy rain that has fallen. It is still set to fall, so yes, we have here on average just south of Grand Rapids 4.5 to 5 inches of rain that's fallen, but this heavy rain and these storms that are producing this heavy rain are moving north-northeast. So Hibbing hasn't gotten quite as much rain yet, but a flash flood warning means that either flooding is occurring or it's imminent, and it's imminent or certainly imminent to get worse because of these lines of heavy thunderstorms that aren't quite done yet and are they're not moving out quickly enough. They're sort of moving parallel from southwest to northeast as opposed to due east in this area. Also, a flash flood warning remains in effect until 9:45 for Grand Rapids, for Sago, and that's Itasca County. A reminder, please don't drive into areas where water covers the road. It sounds nerdy. You probably, I'm sure, have thought at one point or another, I'm not going to get in trouble. That's what everybody thinks when they drive into standing water, and either that water, which only needs to be 6 inches deep if it's moving to float a standard car, and 12 inches deep to float a truck, that's what everybody thinks. Or worse yet, we could have a road that's washed out under that water, and even if you drive that road 1,000 times, if you can't see the roadway that's gone, you could get yourself into a very dangerous situation very quickly.
Very good point, Mike.
Go
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, that's all right, Lisa. I was just going to loop the radar for you one last time to show you the general motion from west to east as this heavy rain moves in and as we start to see the threat for severe weather end now as close as Dassel and Wilmer and Redwood Falls, Glencoe and St. Cloud.
And then I'll zoom in a little bit closer here and we can talk about the timing when it comes to some of these thunderstorms making their way toward Mound and also out toward Victoria. So this is that severe thunderstorm warning for Hennepin and also Carver County until 8 p.m. I did time it out as the storm is moving predominantly to the east at about 40 miles per hour. And again, with the severe thunderstorm warning, we are looking at the threat for 60+ mile per hour winds. Hail is still a possibility, but again, I think the damaging wind threat is going to be along these bows, what we call bowing segments along this big line stretching from north to south. So the timing here for Shorewood, 7:46 p.m. Minnetonka, 7:52 p.m. Hopkins, 7:45 p.m. Medicine Lake coming in at 7:57 p.m. That's for that severe thunderstorm warning, which goes until 8 p.m. there. And this is the one that is closest here to the Twin Cities. And as I go ahead and clear this one out, you can see just off to the south, we have the one severe thunderstorm warning in place there. We do not have any tornado warnings on the board right now. Predominantly just tracking some, mainly looking at a straight-lined wind threat with a lot of these storms that do push off to the east. That being said, when you're talking 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, that is just as strong as a low-end tornado warning anyways. Reminder when it comes to the severe thunderstorm watch in place, the reason that we are looking at the main threat being damaging winds, because as these storms progress with this line that we're seeing on radar now, push out of the yellow boxes, which is the tornado watch, which is set to expire coming up here shortly because the storms will have pushed on out into the Twin Cities metro region and then follow suit into western Wisconsin. We do have the potential of 60+ mile per hour wind gusts coming out of these storms. Also the potential for hail, but again, I think we'll be talking more of a damaging wind threat with these storms as they push further off to the east. And that is why we do have the severe thunderstorm warnings that are on the board right now. They're just off to the west of Minneapolis here, so just stretching from Shakopee up toward Hopkins and then toward Medina, and this line again pushing further off to the east. This is the latest with the severe thunderstorm warning for Carver and Hennepin County, moving to the east at 40 miles per hour with this storm. Looks like we have a new severe thunderstorm warning that Mike is tracking up in the Duluth area.
Yeah. Right, so it does include now the city of Duluth, and this is by far the strongest storm on radar. This has been showing, even as it's gotten closer to the radar, and the radar beam, again, because it rises as it goes out from the radar site in Duluth and gets higher and higher the farther and farther out from the site you get. So when we start to see some of these wind signatures that we're seeing so close to the ground here, we really start to get concerned. That's why there's a severe thunderstorm warning now out for parts of Carleton, let's see, Carleton, Douglas, and St. Louis counties until 8:15 p.m. We have overlapping severe thunderstorm warnings, so there's a threat farther back to the south and west from that new warning as well, and that includes parts of Pine and Washburn counties. But I was mentioning the velocity signatures, and these signatures are pretty crazy. What I want to do is show you what some of these wind speeds are. So this is a wind that's actually blowing away from the radar site at almost 70 miles an hour. And again, this is just maybe 1,000 feet off the ground. Here's a radar beam that's sampling nearly a hurricane force sustained winds. That's also, that's blowing toward the radar. So this is outflow wind, really. This is rain cooled air that is dense and heavy that is rushing out from this thunderstorm at anywhere from 60 to 80 miles an hour toward the Duluth area. And what that does essentially is make the entire leading edge of this thunderstorm activity as strong as a low-end tornado, as an EF0 or possibly even an EF1 tornado. So that's why we're saying tonight, like, treat these storms, even though they quote-unquote only have a severe thunderstorm warning on them, treat them as though they are a tornado, because they could do as much damage as a tornado. We know Duluth is a favorite vacation spot, and certainly we know that some are watching us streaming live on CBSN Minnesota or on the WCCO weather app. So here are some of the towns heading into Duluth in the next, let's see, 13 minutes here, that potential for hurricane force winds. Rice Lake also potentially, that's Rice Lake, Minnesota, could get hit at 8:04 with those winds. Now, it's certainly true that there is likely some low-level cooler air right along the lake here, and that could ultimately mitigate some of the damage, some of the wind damage. It could actually act like a buffer or like a bumper to kind of keep that stronger wind off the deck up over your head. However, we still want you to treat this seriously and take cover in a sturdy shelter on the lowest level of your home, a basement if you have it, and stay away from windows, because not only can winds knock over trees, they can blow out windows as well. This area is part of that same system. That's a crummy storm track. Let me redo that one. It's part of the same system, and it too could potentially be producing up to 70-mile-an-hour winds as it moves off to the east at about 50 miles an hour or so. So here are the times a little farther south outside of the immediate Duluth area that are on watch for destructive straight-line winds. Webb Lake at 7:54. I know I've mentioned Webb Lake several times as this storm has gotten closer and closer. Swiss should certainly be in your storm shelter right now. Don't be looking out the windows at this. We'll send you pictures of it later. We want you to stay safe. This storm will then cross into Wisconsin, already almost there, and start to affect areas from Frog Creek to Brule to Barnes to Iron River. Again, the threat with this, not so much as I switch on hail here. You can see it's not really so much hail. These have all been prolific wind producers so far this evening. Want to focus back in for a few minutes here on the metro area as some of the heavier rain gets closer and closer. I know it looked like the rain was close on radar here in the Twin Cities metro, and you probably thought, Mike, you're crazy. It's going to be here before you know it. A lot of that rain we were tracking moving north, and now it's up past Blaine, it's up past St. Michael, headed into the southwestern corner of Anoka County and the extreme southeastern corner of Sherburne County as torrential downpours, but right now no active severe thunderstorm warnings on it. This is moving to the east. So this is the main event for us in the Twin Cities. It's now made it through about central Hennepin County, and while we have not really received more than just a few raindrops so far in the Twin Cities metro at this point, this is about on our doorstep. So finish up your outdoor plans and make sure that if you were going to go out and batten down the hatches, which is a silly phrase, I don't know why I said that, nobody says that. How about lash down the lawn furniture? Now is the time to finish that up. Here is the time of arrival on some of these strong wind gusts. They're moving into Hopkins in the next 2 minutes, Eden Prairie at about 7:55. St. Louis Park heads up that gusty winds are on the way in the next 10 minutes. Richfield at 8:07, Bloomington at 8:09. Hello to St. Paul, 8:17 is the current time of arrival for up to 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts for you. Sunfish Lake at 8:22, Maplewood at 8:24, and Woodbury at 8:28. There is a severe thunderstorm warning on this cell right now. That warning continues for Hennepin and parts of Carver and extreme northern Scott County until 8 p.m. But all indications to me are that they're going to be reissuing a new warning down the line here in the next few minutes that will include the cities of Bloomington, Minneapolis, Eagan, and Blaine.
Yes, exactly, Mike. And I did time out some of the, at least in the severe thunderstorm warning box, where we are tracking the timing for the pushing into those locations underneath the severe thunderstorm warning. Again, this is for Carver and also Hennepin counties underneath the severe thunderstorm warning until 8 p.m. So it should be making the severe thunderstorm warned storms. So we are looking again at the potential of 60-mile-per-hour winds or higher. This storm line is moving to the east at 40 miles per hour, so Minnetonka pretty much right off to your west, out toward Hopkins about 7:51, Crystal 7:54, and then out toward Shakopee underneath that severe thunderstorm warning. And we'll continue to zoom this out and notice that this is the area that we are just now at the time when this is going to be pushing into the Twin Cities, as most of the severe thunderstorm warnings associated with the whole line of storms well up toward the Duluth area. And as I loop this, you can see the line basically pushing into the western part through the West Metro now and continuing to progress further off to the east. So unless it does diminish in intensity, then we do have that potential of seeing what could be 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts or higher into the Twin Cities coming up here with those timings that Mike had just basically timed out there for us. Again, that is why we do have the severe thunderstorm watch in place for the Twin Cities area, metro, western Wisconsin until midnight, because if we continue to see the timing of these storms move through Minneapolis coming up here shortly, it should take a few more hours before it pushes its way into western Wisconsin. And again, if you are in those pink counties, you are looking at the threat of probably 60-mile-per-hour winds or stronger wind gusts associated with these storms.
And we just found out, too, that the Xcel Energy live outage map is now showing 10 times as many electric customers without power as just 20 minutes ago when we last checked in. And it looks like, so that's 2,800, by the way. I guess I should do the math for you there. And many of them are now starting to show up, as we expected, out around Lake Minnetonka in the West Metro. In fact, the Lake Minnetonka area is the site of the largest outage right now, with 2,300 customers without power. It includes Minnetrista, Mound, Shorewood, and Spring Park. And there is no estimated restoration time, at least as of this point, as they're still assessing the damage at this point. So now we know there's this wall of water in addition to in addition to wind moving in with these severe thunderstorms through the West Metro. They're now reaching the traffic camera network in the Metro core around 494. And let's see how that looks. We're going to toss it over to Frank and Amelia.
Mike, thanks for the update. We'll give people a little bit of a tour as a lot of the wind and rain starts to head into the metro area.
This here right now, we are looking at 494 and Central Avenue there. A little bit of lightning in Wayzata.
A lot of people heeding the warning, not a lot of cars out on the road.
And that's 494 on Rockford Road there.
Boy, is it ever coming down
there.
Boy, is it really pouring. This is, of course, more of the North Metro as you head up towards Richfield. This is closer to Wayzata. And Mike and Lisa were talking about the storm coming that way. Much more traffic, but really slow going on the road. Earlier, we saw some people on Interstate 94 coming back from St. Cloud that had literally pulled over. I don't know if that was a visibility issue or a moisture issue or maybe a little bit of both.
And it looks like it's coming down here, but not as bad. This is at Minnetonka Boulevard there at 494.
Yeah, and we're in the heart of downtown, and we are not seeing the kind of rain that folks are here. And as you look here, it's a little bit lighter. So as the storm moves through, as those guys mentioned, at the fast pace that it is, you might see a lot more rain in some areas, but just be aware that it's coming. This is not too far away from that area, 494 and Bass Lake Road.
Speaking of that, guys, we did just get the severe thunderstorm warning issued here for Anoka, Hennepin, and Ramsey counties, which does include Minneapolis now. So we do have that severe thunderstorm warning pretty much 9 miles to the northwest of Minneapolis, and it's moving to the east at 40 miles per hour. So
you were talking about those crazy rainfall rates. Sorry to interrupt, Lisa. We do have on my computer here the rainfall rate picked up, the precipitation rate picked up, or shown here, and these rates are kind of off the charts. We're talking about let's see, in some cases up to 5 to 8 inches per hour, sort of in that bright white area here, and that's coming along with it, coming along with some very high winds. So Minnetonka Beach and Shorewood, Hopkins, Wayzata, you're under the gun for 4 to 6 or 8 inches per hour of rainfall rate, which is going to overwhelm any storm drain, at least briefly. So yes, as Lisa mentioned, the severe thunderstorm warning, the new one in effect for Minneapolis and St. Paul, the North Metro communities, from Brooklyn Park to White Bear Lake, but also the potential for localized street flooding. So there's no reason to be out or to be going out at this point. Just wait this out. It'll be done in about an hour or so. Sorry to cut you off there, Lisa.
No, absolutely, Mike. Good point there. I do have the timing for Minneapolis. If you are in downtown and you're wondering when it's going to be pushing on through, this on my computer, there you go. The severe thunderstorm warning for Anoka, Hennepin, and Ramsey County until 8:45 p.m. What is headed to the east here, mainly looking at 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So again, it's not necessarily a hail threat. We're mainly looking at a wind gust threat, or also, as Mike was saying, heavy rain and potential of some flash flooding, say on some of those downtown roadways, something to watch out for. But it should be pushing in toward Minneapolis at about 8:01. We have New Brighton at 8:04, Roseville coming in at 8:09. The latest timing on this is 8:14 when it comes to St. Paul. And again, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts are what would be on your way. Moving from west to east here, and these storms are moving at about 40 miles per hour. Zooming out and clearing where we have some of the timing here. This is just now pushing into the Twin Cities metro area. So just stretching from Shakopee just to the west of Minneapolis, Coon Rapids out toward Forest Lake. This is where the potential of heavy rain and also looking at damaging winds, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts or stronger possible, just now starting to push into Minneapolis right now, just off to the west there. It looks like you have another look at it on radar, Mike.
Yeah, so look at this. This again is our velocity imagery, and this pixel right here is showing 70-mile-an-hour wind gust that is, again, given how close it is to the radar site, probably less than 1,000 feet off the ground. I'm going to zoom in real close here and show you that that is now headed toward Crystal. And so that is going to do some damage if it does mix down to the ground. Right now, 169 is getting pounded by these high winds in addition to heavy rain. But I'm really kind of concerned that we're going to see some widespread power outages in the cities of Crystal, perhaps Brooklyn Park and Fridley as this. And let me just make sure I'm putting the right trajectory on it for you as I go back and loop the radar. Yeah, Crystal, Fridley, Columbia Heights potentially under the gun to lose power and to have some damage because of those 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Let's see, a new severe thunderstorm warning. We're going to keep our focus here on the metro, but it's Bayfield, Burnett, Douglas, Sawyer, and Washburn counties until 8:45 p.m. for a similar scenario playing out there, and that is some very strong winds, some gusty winds. We're starting to see this part here headed right for Minneapolis bow out as well. So again, just because we live in the city doesn't mean that we should be treating this any differently than if we live in greater Minnesota or in open areas where winds can really pick up speed and blow over long distances. And here we go. Now there's a tornado warning that was just issued for areas just north of Minneapolis. I live in downtown Minneapolis and I hear the tornado sirens going off right now. The tornado warning does not include the city of Minneapolis, but it does include areas that are from Crystal, which I just mentioned to you, up to the 694 corridor, Brooklyn Park, and Fridley. Let's see, this is because of that circulation that I showed you on radar. So the National Weather Service is telling me that this is a radar indicated tornado, and they essentially are also saying the same thing I am, which is regardless of whether this is spinning wind or straight line wind, you do not want to be exposed to this. Crystal, get to your safe place right now. Brooklyn Park, Columbia Heights, Fridley, you should be taking cover on the lowest level of your home, a basement if you have it, and if not, an interior bathroom or closet. You need to stay away from windows, and if you're outside, you obviously need to be getting indoors. Sheds do not provide enough shelter for this. Storage facilities don't, mobile homes don't. If you're caught on the roads, you should be, well, not heading out right now, obviously, but if you happen to be streaming us and listening to us in your car, and you're on that 694 or near that 694 area of Fridley, you want to pull over. You want to seek shelter on the side of the road. Make sure you're out of traffic. Duck down in your car. Cover your head. Get below the window level if you can. This is all if you can't get yourself into an indoor shelter and you're stuck in your car. Cover your head. Duck down. Rely on the safety cage of that vehicle. Rely on the airbags of that vehicle. If you don't feel safe in your car for some reason, the old advice, although it's starting to be trumped now by this the safety cage and the construction of more recent vehicles, but the old advice is to get into a ditch and cover your head. But again, the best place to be for this tornado warning that was just issued for parts of Hennepin County is to be indoors on the lowest level of your home. Let's see. Let me take another look here. Lisa, just interrupt me if you have something additional to add, please.
Right. I do have the tornado warning up right now. So again, for Anoka and Hennepin County, underneath a tornado warning. This tornado warning is for a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located over Golden Valley near Minneapolis, moving to the east at 40 miles per hour. So the tornado warning does include and is just off to the west of Columbia Heights right now. We are getting reports in from locations like New Hope of trees down and also power lines. So strong winds, as Mike was just saying, coming out of this storm. But again, because of the circulation, that is where we do have the tornado warning in place from Golden Valley to the east, predominantly toward the northeast. So it's continuing to make its way just toward 94 right now. And zooming in a little bit closer, we can see a couple more locations underneath the tornado warning: Columbia Heights, Fridley, Coon Rapids, Brooklyn Park, underneath a tornado warning right now. Please make your way to the lowest level of your home. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. This is a 1 hour loop, and you can see where it is just off near Robbinsdale, making its way off to the northeast. Do you have a better look at this, or are you seeing anything on velocity, Mike?
Let's see. Yeah, sure am. Wow, that's quite the signature. Again, the real concern here is that this is so close to the ground, and these brighter pixels indicating wind that's moving away from the radar site nearly 70 miles an hour. This looks very much to me like a straight line wind signature as opposed to rotation. I'm going to actually, let's see. Let's go to our spectrum width. Yeah. This is looking like straight line winds, but again, that's really kind of academic at this point. So if you are in the path of this storm, again, this tornado warning is including areas from the 694, 94 interchange over to Highway 65 over to New Brighton. Actually, New Brighton is technically just out of this, but the storm is still possible in your area if it holds together. Be sure that you are taking shelter. I don't want to leave out, by the way, downtown Minneapolis. In fact, we have the leading edge of what could still be some very strong straight line winds headed into the city of Minneapolis. There is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. And again, we'll switch over to velocity mode here. And so this is so close to the radar. I'm not entirely sure that this is sampling things correctly. However, it does look like it's possible we could have at least straight line winds to 60 miles an hour. The rain has started now in downtown Minneapolis. I have a rainfall rate instantaneously here at 4 inches per hour. So it's this isn't even the heaviest part of the rain that's in here yet. And so that too, again, could cause some localized flooding. But we continue to track this tornado warning, which remains in effect for the Metro Core, including Columbia Heights, Brooklyn Park, although truthfully at this point the tornado threat for Brooklyn Park is over. There's still a lot of wind with it, and areas from, say, just to the northwest of Roseville up 35 towards Shoreview. In fact, I want to see, and again, just pop it up if you have it, guys. Our tower is located in Shoreview, and if we can spin that cam and look to the west, we for sure will be able to see what's going on here. Lisa, what do you see? Oh, I'm sorry. I guess we don't have it.
It's okay.
Apologize. Yeah, so back to the radar signature. Columbia Heights is getting nailed right now. St. Anthony, we want you to take shelter. New Brighton, again, you are not under this tornado warning, but I don't see any reason why the National Weather Service would not extend this down the line to include communities like New Brighton, Mounds View, Shoreview, perhaps Arden Hills, as we continue, even with a radar beam update here just in the past 30 seconds, we continue to see winds that are being sampled just 1,000 feet or so off the ground to 60 to 80 miles an hour, depending on where we are. Those reach the ground, they're going to do some damage. And
I also have the, I'm trying to time out with 40 mile per hour movement of 40 mile per hour
forward
winds.
Motion.
Yeah, forward, moving off to the east here at about 40 miles per hour. We are still looking at some of these the timing just near Shoreview, there you go, at about 8:10, because even if it isn't tornado warned at that time, we'd still have the potential of some damaging winds, of course, moving in towards Circle Pines, coming in at 8:10. And here is the latest update. So let's clear that, as we do have they continued the tornado warning here for Anoka and Hennepin County. So we'll go ahead and clear this let's zoom in closest to this latest tornado warning here. So again, this is still for a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado over New Brighton, or it is 7 miles to the north of Minneapolis, and this is moving to the east at 40 miles per hour. This goes until 8:30 p.m. for this tornado warning for Anoka and also for Hennepin County. You can see Columbia Heights in that tornado warning polygon, including St. Anthony there, and then just off to the east, which is in the path of this storm, we do have Mounds View, and also zooming in a little bit closer to where 35 and near New Brighton. So zooming out and looking at the direction of this, you can see why the tornado warning is from basically along 94 and just off to the east there. That is in the center of a severe thunderstorm warning that does encompass from Minneapolis up toward White Bear Lake out toward Andover. So what we're tracking, notice it's a long line of thunderstorms. The severe thunderstorms themselves are producing 60-70 mile per hour winds coming in out of these storms, and then embedded in that line we have the potential of some, that's why we have the tornado warning that is in place. Mike?
Let's talk about our friends and neighbors in the South Metro now, from Bloomington to Shakopee, Prior Lake, Sand Creek, let's see, Belle Plaine. You guys are either in the heavy rain or about to be in the heavy rain. This rain at this point has winds that may be gusting as high as 40 or 50 miles an hour, but there are no severe thunderstorm warnings on the southern end of this line. And I do want to let you know that the National Weather Service has now canceled the tornado warning that was in effect for areas just north of Minneapolis. This is still showing signs, though, as Lisa mentioned, that it could be producing some damaging wind gusts from Arden Hills to Roseville, headed toward Vadnais Heights, headed toward Little Canada. This is the area that at one point did have a tornado warning on it. It's now moving quickly, racing off to the east at between 40 and 50 miles an hour. Let me get back to our friends again in the South Metro, because I was trying to make a point, and that is that heavy rain is on the way from Bloomington to Burnsville to Prior Lake. This line of thunderstorms, the farther south we have gone, the less threat for severe weather there has been, but that doesn't mean there's no threat. There were some severe thunderstorm warnings just about 30 or 45 minutes ago when this line was back off to the west, out over the Minnesota River Valley, more the central Minnesota River Valley. But at this point, again, we're looking at heavy rainfall rates, but no severe weather at this point. Severe thunderstorm warning has taken over now for the tornado warning for Minneapolis and St. Paul up to White Bear Lake and say around Rogers, Lino Lakes, Blaine. In fact, St. Paul, you are for sure hearing some thunder out there right now, but you've got about another, I'd say 5 minutes max before the heaviest rain and that potential on the leading edge here, which by the way is where the strongest wind gusts would be, the potential for wind gusts up to maybe 60 miles an hour.
And I do have that timed out here.
Go ahead.
For just as Mike was saying, here's the timing. St. Paul 8:12, Arden Hills moving through right now. Maplewood coming in at 8:19. We are getting some reports of large trees down even in Hennepin County. So we are getting those.
Yep, Robbinsdale.
Robbinsdale, yep, exactly. So pointing out that we are seeing some, that could very well be either straight line wind damage or just basically a winds of any sort moving through. So this is that severe thunderstorm warning, the timing on your screen right here showing its way toward, like Mike was saying, St. Paul at 8:12.
We know that parts of northern Hennepin County are now without power. They have not shown up yet. That's not shown up yet on our Excel outage map, but I have friends that live there and they are telling me that it's out. So that makes sense, again, given how strong that wind signature was. Now, why did the National Weather Service cancel that tornado warning so quickly? Here, I'll show you why. This it was a weak circulation, but there was a lot of wind energy within that circulation. It has broadened out quite a bit. So now, as opposed to being located, that core of strongest winds or rotating winds over a neighborhood, it's now spread out more over, say, a city or a town. And that still means that damaging straight line winds are possible, but that the rotating winds that come with tornadoes sometimes don't appear to be as likely. Still, if you're in St. Paul watching us, if you're in North St. Paul, if you're in White Bear Lake, you should probably be treating this severe thunderstorm warning that you're under, that continues, by the way, for the next 30 minutes. You should take that seriously, treat it as though there's a tornado warning, and take shelter inside, obviously, but on the lowest level of your home, in a basement if you have it, or in an interior closet or bathroom with away from windows, and make sure that you cover your head. Here's what's left of the line of severe thunderstorms, or thunderstorms if you prefer. That's it. This line at this point has now shrunk to about 30 miles wide. It's moving at about 40 miles an hour, and that means that for any one location, once the rain starts, in your neighborhood, it will likely be over in just under an hour. And speaking of where it's over, let me clear parts of the metro area that are done with this. We're talking St. Michael, Waconia, Hutchinson, all of Wright County, all of Stearns County, up to St. Cloud. Done. We're good for the rest of the night. In fact, now that the rain is done, as the humidity falls, if you want, you can open the windows as you head to bed, because it is not going to rain again tonight. Still tracking this, we know this is not technically our area, but also that we have a lot of our neighbors vacationing on the North Shore this weekend, and perhaps watching us streaming live on CBSN Minnesota or on our new CBS Minnesota app. There is a new severe thunderstorm warning that essentially includes areas north of Duluth up Highway 61 on the North Shore. So we're talking about probably from around Castle Danger to Two Harbors down to just north of Duluth, this strong line of thunderstorms that at times has been producing wind gusts in excess of 70 miles an hour, sort of drifting up the North Shore at this point. We were just taking a live look at St. Paul as we focus again here on the Twin Cities metro area, and you can see it's not quite raining in St. Paul yet, but it is about to. That heavy rain is just on the doorstep, and along with it comes the potential of some straight line wind gusts, perhaps now to 60 miles an hour. There's a new severe thunderstorm warning that just came out to sort of extend up into the northern part of this line. Nothing new here. We've been naming these towns and mentioning these times of arrival for the past 20 minutes now, but northern Hennepin County, northern Anoka County, and Ramsey County, southern Anoka County and Ramsey County are now under severe thunderstorm warnings until 8:45 for this heavy rain and the potential for damaging winds. Lisa?
And again, if we can time it out, as Mike was saying, just in about 4 minutes was the latest timing when it came to the storms making their way toward the St. Paul area. And so with the severe thunderstorm warning, the latest update that we have, the one just extended further up to the north, we have the severe thunderstorm warning, again, Anoka, Hennepin, and Ramsey counties, mainly looking at 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. This is about 9 miles. North of St. Paul is what we're tracking further off to the east at moving to the east, excuse me, at 40 miles per hour. And so if we use our timing tool to time out the stretching all the way up to the far northern part of the severe thunderstorm warning, then we are tracking the timing there for West St. Paul coming in within the next minute or so. So within the next few minutes for St. Paul, you should be seeing the part of the severe thunderstorm warning push on, and Maplewood coming in at 8:17, Pine Springs coming in at 8:17 also. And again, what would be coming in with this is the potential 60-mile-per-hour winds. We're also looking, I would say that's probably the main thing that we're going to be watching. So there is going to be it is very likely that the warning for this will continue to expand into the east metro as these storms continue to progress from west to east. Doesn't look like these are going to be fizzling out. It looks like this will continue to be warned once again as the storm, you can see as I loop it here, progresses further off to the east. Mike, it looks like you have another severe thunderstorm warning near Northfield.
Yeah. They look like they just are going to blanket severe thunderstorm warning this whole line now. I mentioned that at times it had been producing severe weather, and winds have reached a situation where the National Weather Service is concerned that the leading edge of this could be producing severe weather or damage again. So this is a new severe thunderstorm warning that covers parts of our South Metro, including parts of Dakota, LeSueur, Rice, and Scott County. Again, the threat with this is damaging straight line wind, and we certainly have seen no shortage of that, although there really hasn't been much in the way of hail at this point. And another severe thunderstorm warning. I mentioned how I think they're just going to blanket warn this thing. There it is. You mentioned that downstream there would be probably no weakening to this, and in fact that means the National Weather Service needed to extend and issue a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is for Washington and Polk counties. Here are the times of arrival for this fast-moving whoosh and gust of wind that could do some damage on the leading edge and then drop a quick half an inch to an inch of rain. Maplewood set to get hit with the strongest part of that storm just in the next few minutes. Woodbury at 8:21, Stillwater 8:28, St. Joe at 8:34, Somerset, Wisconsin at 8:39. Roberts, Wisconsin at 8:43, New Richmond at 8:49, Hammond at 8:52, and Baldwin at 8:58. Again, I know that's pretty far out, but there's no real reason, the way these things have been moving, to expect that they're going to weaken, and certainly if they do, we'll let you know. But the line now solidly just pouring rain over Minneapolis and St. Paul. 0.53 is what I've gotten at my home weather station, with rainfall rates varying between 2 and 4 inches per hour, which honestly is not that bad compared to some of the heavier rainfall that we've seen in northern Minnesota with this line. And now the back edge of it is already clearing through. Western Hennepin County is done with the rain, except for maybe a couple of sprinkles on the back side of this. So again, this line of severe weather is only about 30 miles wide, but it's doing a number as it moves through. And speaking of the numbers, getting some updates now from Xcel Energy. Power outages now updated to 8,700 customers just kind of here, really down the 94 corridor from around Alexandria into the Twin Cities metro, with the bulk of the outages occurring where we had that tornado warned storm. Honestly, northern parts of Hennepin County, those are the areas, in northern parts of Ramsey County, those are the areas that are, close to 3,000 to 5,000 people without power. And I'm sorry, while I was droning on, a new update just came in. We now have almost 13,000 customers without power. So the power outages are spreading from northwest to southeast across the metro, unfortunately, right now.
So looking at the overall picture where we have this line, you can see this bowing out that we've been talking about here across the far northern part of the line. That is where anytime you see this bowing out, you get indications of straight line wind damage coming out, and that is what we're seeing up to the north, and that is what is rolling through right in the center part of the metro right now. And we do have these storms pushing just right through. Here in Minneapolis, noticing a lot of lightning and thunder, a lot of wind, but a lot of the updates when it comes to some of these new severe thunderstorm warnings continue to push off to our east. So here's where we have the latest severe thunderstorm warning for Polk, St. Croix, and also Washington counties. It goes until 9 p.m. Again, the storm moving to the east at 40 miles per hour. It's the same deal here with 60 mile per hour winds. So if I go ahead and stop the radar and time this out with this edge, basically just from Forest Lake all the way down toward Burnsville at 40 mile per hour movement with the line here, then we can tell you a pretty good idea as to when these storms will be pushing into that new severe thunderstorm warned area, including looking out toward Woodbury 8:21, Cottage Grove 8:30, St. Joseph 8:37, Troy 8:42, Hastings 8:44, Hammond 8:56. Again, this is an estimate as to the arrival time of some of these storms. So just before this time, that's when you can anticipate 60 mile per hour wind gusts or even stronger moving into your area, as that is exactly what we've been seeing reports of, as Mike was saying about the power outages being reported with this whole line. It's basically just being severe thunderstorm warned from Forest Lake all the way down through the Twin Cities down to Burnsville, and then another severe thunderstorm warning. You could see it here down near the Dakota, LaSure, Rice, and Scott counties. Mike?
All right, so here's the view again, a wide view, sort of encompassing the entire metro area. It seems like anytime we stop talking for a second, there's a new warning that comes out. We're happy to bring it to you, and that's exactly what happened a few moments ago. So this is a new severe thunderstorm warning that it's sort of now filling in the line between the warned areas of Woodbury and Stillwater and the warned areas to the south, including parts of Scott and Rice County. Now Egan under a severe thunderstorm warning, Hastings under a severe thunderstorm warning. This warning goes until 9 o'clock. It includes part of Dakota, Hennepin, and Washington County. I'll take another look here at the radar-derived winds to keep a close eye on the leading edge of this. Again, sure, absolutely, there are some wind gusts being picked up off the ground by probably about 1,000 to 2,000 feet. That are approaching the 60-mile-an-hour range, and anything over 60 miles an hour does wind damage or can create damage. Still, the worst part of this storm is the area that 20 minutes ago had a tornado warning on it. It's this right here. This is an area that's under a severe thunderstorm warning, but it's an area within that warning that is even more dangerous than the rest of the line, and it's headed right for Stillwater. Winds still here at the leading edge of this being measured by Doppler weather radar close to 70 miles an hour. And again, this is headed either right to Stillwater or just north of downtown Stillwater. It's kind of tracking along 96 right now, and we'll head over to Highway 95, the one that runs up and down the St. Croix Valley. At the rate this is moving, I would say in the next 10 minutes max. So strong straight line damaging winds still the big concern, mostly on the leading edge of this, and that is the story I think for the next 30 minutes to an hour as this continues to push eastward into Wisconsin. It's been a little while since we have checked on the forecast, so let me do that for you. Again, this is a computer model. Computer models are simulations, but this one happens to be doing pretty well. And so as we track this storm system into Wisconsin, the performance that this model has done today leads me to believe that the fact that it's still indicating some severe weather for places like Winona and perhaps, well, we'll say Rochester, maybe La Crosse and Eau Claire. It's certainly possible that these storms will maintain their strength even toward 11 o'clock, that we won't be completely done with the severe thunderstorm warnings, but those will be moving out very quickly, and so certainly by midnight we'll be done with the severe thunderstorm warnings. And in fact, and in anticipation of that, you can see how the National Weather Service has sort of been chipping away at the western edge of this severe thunderstorm watch. The tornado watches have all been canceled, or actually they expired at 8 p.m., but the severe thunderstorm watch has also been being dropped county by county from west to east. So Sherburne County, Wright County, we are done with the severe weather threat in McLeod County at this point. It's really areas from about St. Paul and I-35 on east, Lisa, that for the next 30 minutes to 90 minutes have a threat for severe weather. No update on XL Energy's outage map at this point, but I understand that we're starting to get some additional tornado videos in that we perhaps can share on the air.
If not, we do have the, I do have the timing here of where we have the latest severe thunderstorm warning that we timed out moving through toward at least Star Prairie. As Mike was saying, 8:54 p.m. is the latest, furthest that we're seeing there. When it comes to Hudson, watching 8:31 p.m. I also do want to mention I'm seeing many reports of a lot of trees down here in even in Minneapolis, so that just goes to show where we are seeing a lot of the damage reports. I think dealing with power outages due to power lines and also trees going down. That's probably the main thing that we're going to continue to see as the severe thunderstorm warnings continue to push off to the east. Again, to recap, severe thunderstorm warning in place here for Polk, St. Croix, and Washington counties. That does go until 9 p.m. Storms are moving to the east at 40 miles per hour, so making their way toward Hudson, New Richmond, just to the south of Forest Lake. Here in Minneapolis, we're kind of on the back edge of the heavier rain right now. And then further off to the south, we do have the other severe thunderstorm warning for Dakota, Hennepin, and Washington County until 9 p.m. Again, it's the same deal with all of these storms moving to the east at 40 miles per hour with 60 mile per hour wind gusts looking to be the main threat with these storms. Then further off to the south, we still have this severe thunderstorm warning, which I had previously timed out, so we can go ahead and clear that out, where we do have the severe thunderstorm warning here. It's on its approach to I-35 there. So this is for Dakota, Le Sueur, Rice, and Scott counties underneath this severe thunderstorm warning until 8:45 p.m. Again, this line is pushing off to the east. Also, the timing on this one is about 45 miles per hour, but still looking at 60 mile per hour wind gusts. Something to watch out for in locations like Northfield, Castle Rock. It's to your west, but you are underneath the severe thunderstorm warning. It's moving into Lonsdale now, and it's just now approaching the I-35 corridor in those counties. Lakeville, you're right between the two here when it comes to severe thunderstorm warning, so I would take this storm on your doorstep just off to the west, as it could be producing 60 mile per hour winds or higher pushing on in. Egan, you're just now seeing the leading edge of this severe storm pushing through all along 35, including toward Inner Grove Heights, and I'm sure a lot of wind and rain coming down in St. Paul as we're seeing that edge push on through. It's just off to the west of Woodbury, so it'll be pushing in shortly into the Woodbury region, and also just now a little bit of a further east segment of the storm there in Stillwater, so that is continuing to push on. And it looks like you have some storm reports. What have we seen so far, Mike?
Well, so we're starting to see some of these storm reports come in, and it's not surprising to me that they're not super widespread or a super dense report at this point. But we did just in the past few minutes get a report of a few large trees down. That's in Robbinsdale in Hennepin County. We also got a report of an 8-inch diameter tree down near 26th Avenue and Irving Avenue in Minneapolis. I'm going to guess that's Irving Avenue North, but I'm not sure. We will check on that. We have, we had the severe weather a little earlier in the day to the north and west. It's pretty crazy how many tornado and funnel cloud reports there are, but not how many straight line wind damage and hail reports there are. But again, we are looking for that information, and certainly you can tweet at us if you have damage to report, and there will be more opportunity to locate that and pass it along to us and to everybody. And unfortunately, probably more damage to be done as the lightning continues to flash over St. Paul. You are on the back edge of the heaviest rain and on the way out of the severe weather threat, while on the leading edge of this, east of the immediate metro core now, we're starting to see more and more severe thunderstorm warnings be issued. Again, mostly for the leading edge of this line. This is a new warning that includes parts of Dakota and Goodhue County. Severe thunderstorm warning until 9:15 p.m. And the concern here, again, isn't so much. It's almost kind of an instantaneous wind threat, because these Boeing line segments that you see here just south of Lakeville, kind of pushing out here to the northeast of Egan, and especially up here moving through central parts of Washington County, set to head into Polk County. The leading edge of this is where we have the best chance for wind gusts perhaps in excess of 60 miles an hour, and that's why the warnings keep getting issued downstream.
All right, thank you, Mike. Let's go ahead and take you back looking at the whole line here, stretching from the north pretty much through, it's passed through Duluth off to the south and pushing in with the bulk of the activity now pushing through the Twin Cities. So what we saw, I was previously looking out toward Lakeville, and that was just between severe thunderstorm warnings. That ended up getting filled in. So that is that latest severe thunderstorm warning that Mike was just talking about there for Dakota and Goodhue counties until 9:15 p.m. So basically we're watching these severe thunderstorm warnings stretch from as far south from looking out toward Dakota, Le Sueur, Rice, and Scott counties, all the way up through Burnsville into Minneapolis, and then well up to the north, we're tracking these storms just make their way into now pretty much out towards Hudson. So I'll go ahead and zoom this out a little bit more, and we can track where the furthest north you go toward Forest Lake. That is where we do have the severe thunderstorm warning again in place right now towards Stillwater. We're seeing the heaviest part of the storm push in there. It is just off to the west of New Richmond and then pushing in toward Woodbury. And we do have at least a couple of reports of a little bit of hail coming in too, so we'll have to watch that. But again, straight line wind damage would be the main threat. Frank?
Lisa, thanks. In the big picture, folks, Lisa started reporting on all these watches and warnings at about 5, maybe even earlier, maybe on the air by 4. So that's, 3.5 hours ago. So it's quite a big storm. We want to give you a bit of a visual tour as we let our meteorologists regroup a little bit. These are some pictures that we were receiving early. Tracy Perlman is one of our producers. She lives in the western suburbs. I'm not sure where she took this from, if that was her home or if she's somewhere else. But that is some impressive looking funnel clouds. Oh, this was in Brownton. I think she's just going ahead and sharing it with us right now. And this is video. And here's part of the problem with the storm damage from this wind and rain event and some of the tornado warnings that Mike and Lisa were talking about. Right now, Excel's reporting 13,000 people without power. Very, very ominous cloud as we look at St. Cloud. This was from St. Cloud earlier today as well. We had a photographer in that area. This is downtown Minneapolis right now, where when the storm came through, it really came through. So we'll keep showing you some of these videos and photos. Again, shot of the Twin Cities. Shot before it got really dark and nasty here about half an hour ago, and it really did turn. And there again, some of the video of funnel cloud in the Brownton area. We saw the close-up shot of that. And we had mentioned earlier we saw flags that were, completely perpendicular. That one looks it's actually ready to take off. Sadly, a tree down here snapped. This comes to us from Lake Mille Lacs. This is from Isle, Minnesota, which is on the shore of Lake Mille Lacs. Sad to see a lot of this destruction, but this is what's going on tonight with a storm that is this widespread and this powerful. This is from the Southwest Metro. That came from Victoria. And then here, I believe, is again the Brownton funnel cloud on the ground. And Mike showed you some of those damage reports earlier, but very, very long, 4.5 hour extended evening of severe weather that began in northern Minnesota and then pushed its way into the Twin Cities as we head towards the sun setting here at 8:31 this evening.
And what we're tracking, Frank, is a lot of this pushing off to the east. Again, more so straight line wind damage from these storms. We are not seeing tornado warnings. All those funnel clouds and all those pictures you were seeing previously, those were further off to the west. Now it is more of a straight line wind threat, 60-mile-per-hour winds coming in out of these thunderstorms. And I'll zoom in close enough to where you could see who is dealing with the worst part of it. Now you could see here's Minneapolis. You're off to the west. You're dealing with a little bit of rain, and that's pretty much it. The stronger reflectivity there pushing in toward Woodbury right now. St. Paul, you're also dealing with some of the strong reflectivity, but a lot of this is pushing off to your east, and these are the counties underneath the severe thunderstorm warnings. This is associated with the bow out of this line of thunderstorms that is producing 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and that is why we're seeing reports of trees down and also some power outages in these areas. So the farthest north of the severe thunderstorm warning is out toward Forest Lake, Polk, St. Croix, and also Washington County until 9 p.m. underneath the severe thunderstorm warning. And the timing of these storms moving to the east is about the same for everyone. It is about 40 miles per hour. So as I draw this line here, which stretches from through 94, making its way toward Hudson, just off to the west of New Richmond, so should be pushing in there shortly, and then further further off to the east. There's your timing toward Stanton coming in at 8:49, and then Aaron Prairie coming in at 8:51. I'll go ahead and clear this out, and then we'll take you a little bit further off to the south, right into the heart of St. Paul, getting closer to Woodbury, and also out toward River Falls. Basically, we had 2 different severe thunderstorm warnings, and then sandwiched between the 2, just connecting this line here with this other severe thunderstorm warning. The strongest part of the storm moving through 35 right now, moving through Egan and starting to make its way in toward Cottage Grove right now. And this is where the severe thunderstorm warning for Dakota and Washington County is in place, coming up here till 9 p.m. And I was previously talking about how Lakeville, underneath that next severe thunderstorm warning, that has been extended now out to include Cannon Falls. So this area just off, including Castle Rock, Lakeville, Dakota, and Goodhue counties underneath a severe thunderstorm warning now. And this goes until 9:15 p.m. So basically, they're just continuing to warn, the National Weather Service is continuing to warn on this line of storms as it continues off to the east, because it's just continuing to put out some 60-mile-per-hour winds or stronger. Frank.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. We want to get to Kevin Matthew. He is the Director of Emergency Management in McLeod County. Hi, Kevin. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Is Hutchinson the county seat?
No, our actually county seat is in Glencoe, Minnesota.
Glencoe. Okay, so we're talking about the Glencoe, Silver Lake, Hutchinson area. You're about 60 miles west of the Twin Cities. What's going on there?
Right now things are calm, but as you know earlier, we did have a tornado warning at about 5:45 p.m. this evening, and we received probably about 5 to 6 properties that were damaged as a result of the storm. And some of that damage, a lot of tree damage, of course. Trees took out some power lines, but we did also have some structural damage to some houses from some tree damage, and as well as some barns and bins. Most of the damage that we did have is in the rural areas of McLeod County, so we don't really have any major impacts to any cities. But however, we did have, like I said, about 5 to 6 properties that we were checking throughout the evening to see what kind of damage it had and make sure everybody's okay.
Yeah, I get it. Well, I'm glad it missed Hutch and Glencoe and some of the other bigger towns. Was it from a tornado, Kevin, or straight line winds, or can you tell yet?
It appears at this time that it was tornadic damage, so we did have a lot of videos and pictures that we've been seeing on social media, and some of our responders that were working in the area. So the National Weather Service will come out in the next day or two to really kind of confirm that if it was tornadic or not. But at this point, we did have quite a bit of damage earlier this evening. Yeah, we
showed people video. We got a couple different videos and some still pictures from Brownton, which is in McLeod County, and I know not terribly far from you. Is that some of the area that you're kind of searching as you look towards 212 and Glencoe and that stretch along the highway?
Yeah, most of the areas that we're kind of focusing on are search and recovery efforts, or I should say recovery, but our search efforts is kind of northeast of Brownton, north of Highway 212, and it kind of goes northeast from there up towards the northwest area of Glencoe.
Any reports of injuries?
No, we don't have any reports of injuries that we're aware of, so we're very thankful for that.
And what do the fields look like, Kevin? Did they get crushed?
Major damage or people that have been missing.
Good. And how's the crop look? Did it get hailed on, or did it get bent over in winds and tornadic activity? Can you tell?
We haven't really looked at a whole lot of that yet that I'm aware of. I know I did hear some or see some reports in the Biskie area of some 2-inch size hail that I saw some pictures, but I'm not sure how the crops really fared throughout this event.
Kevin Matthews, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Glad everyone's safe over there. That's Kevin Matthews of McLeod County, the Director of Emergency Management, where we did see apparently what we believe was video of a tornado in Brownton, which is in McLeod County, south of Hutchinson, not far from Glencoe. So glad no injuries, Lisa, but it sounds like they definitely have some damage that they're assessing there.
Right, no surprise. And again, this is a whole line of severe thunderstorm warnings with probably some tornado warnings that were embedded with that. And that was, we did get a report, at least we had a tornado warning in that area earlier. I want to give you the latest update with what some of our severe thunderstorm warnings are now. Let's start to the south here. Along I-35, the very leading edge of this severe storm is just now pushing into Northfield. So it's crossing I-35 and again looking at 60-mile-per-hour winds, probably making their way through Lakeville, Castle Rock, just off to the west of Cannon Falls. Then as we make our way toward Hastings, this severe storm is just off to your west. So rumbling through Egan right now, also Cottage Grove. I'm sure you're hearing it out into Woodbury. The severe thunderstorm warning for Anoka and Ramsey County has expired, and we're continuing to watch. The Dakota, Rice, and Scott County severe thunderstorm warning has expired. So you can see how all these severe thunderstorm warnings are really dropping off back to the west of this line from Minneapolis, just off to Burnsville and to the west. You're in the clear. If you're to the east, that is where, of course, we do continue to see those severe thunderstorm warnings in place. The one near Stillwater for Washington, Polk, and St. Croix counties going for the next 41 minutes or so until 9 p.m. And then once you make your way pretty much all along down the Cottage Grove area, we're continuing to watch those severe thunderstorm warnings really just line up. As I zoom out, you can see it stretching. The good news is this line, if we do have the one severe thunderstorm warning to the north of Rice Lake kind of clipping the area, and then notice that I'll go ahead and get out where you can point and see kind of breaking apart here between these two severe thunderstorm warnings. So that goes to show that this activity kind of diminishing as it moves into the northern part of western Wisconsin, though we do still have the severe thunderstorm warnings in place to the east of Minneapolis, making your way toward New Richmond, Hudson, those severe thunderstorm warnings in place. Anyone to the east of Burnsville, and then closer to Cannon Falls, you're looking at 60-mile-per-hour winds, severe thunderstorm warned storms headed your way. Frank.
Thanks, Lisa. We're going to give you a shot of some more damage and photos that we've been seeing. If you use the hashtag @WCCO or send these to tips@WCCO.com, we'll be able to get them. Boy, you know, Mike and Lisa talked about the Crystal area and the tornado warning that was issued for there. And this tree just literally split right in two in Crystal. Dan, thanks for taking the time to share that. I hope it fell in the street and not anywhere else, like unfortunately this one did. This home definitely looks like it's going to have some kind of siding or roof damage. Again, this comes to us from Crystal. If you remember and were with us, Mike showed us the radar that was just lighting up in that area. This is White Bear Lake. As the storm rolled in, you can see a lot of the heavy rain and the lightning. We heard the tornado sirens going off in the metro area when all this started to move into this area. And again, this comes from Plymouth, closer shot of the damage. And I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot of these. At last count, Xcel Energy had 13,000 people out without power. We'll do an assessment on that, and that number may have gone up. Gene shared this image from 494 and 100 in Bloomington as the clouds rolled into the metro. Curious, you know, when you look in front, it's still dry in the foreground, but boy, it just poured after all this happened. We'll give you a couple shots of some other ones, similar photos. We look towards Bloomington, a little piece of video, and you can see some of the dynamic colors and the lightning in the background of that. And we had damage in Hutchinson as well, which is 60 miles due west of the Twin Cities. So thanks to Kelly for this photo. Thanks to everyone for all their photos. But boy, that Crystal area, Lisa, that you guys were pointing out earlier on radar, that's right, where we saw some of that worst damage.
And the thing about that area, we ended up having all these severe thunderstorm warnings, and then Mike was pointing out what he was seeing on our velocity, which is kind of just an easier way to kind of pinpoint stronger winds associated with those storms. It was right over that area, and then they did end up issuing a tornado warning. And sometimes you can't, when you have a long line of thunderstorms like this, if you're getting 70-mile-per-hour winds, an EF0 tornado is 65 to 85-mile-per-hour winds. So even if it's not a tornado warning, you're still looking at either tornadic or even hurricane force winds. So that's why even severe thunderstorm warnings of this magnitude have to be taken seriously. And we're not out of the woods yet. Obviously, looking into Minneapolis, you are on the backside, you're in the clear. Woodbury, the storms are just pushing on off to your east, but they are pushing in toward Afton, Stillwater, some stronger reflectivity here coming up just off to the west of St. Joseph here between Stillwater and Hudson. So, and again, these storms are moving to the east at about 40 or even 50 miles per hour with some of these storms. So that is where the pockets of very strong 60 mile per hour winds, you saw on those pictures there just what they could be producing as they make their way toward you. So that is why it is possible that you're looking at these very strong winds headed into your area. So the latest severe thunderstorm warnings, I'm counting 4, but they are moving through the East Metro right now. Severe thunderstorm warning just making its way toward Baldwin for Polk, St. Croix, and Washington County until 9 p.m. We are tracking one that lines up. Basically, the National Weather Service just severe thunderstorm warned this entire line because the entire line is the potential producing 60 mile per hour winds, which does include a severe thunderstorm warning for Dakota and also Washington counties until 9 p.m. Then you make your way further off to the south. It does include Goodhue until 9:15 p.m. and then looking out toward Rice and Scott counties until 8:45. And as I clear out where we have the severe thunderstorm warnings, and then you put this in motion, you can see where the storms are pushing just off to the east of Minneapolis. And let's see if we can get a little bit closer in toward Woodbury, just off to the east there. Stillwater, seeing those storms push off to your east. You're starting to clear on out. They are making their way in toward New Richmond. Baldwin, you're just off to the east of the latest severe thunderstorm warning. And again, when it comes to the furthest north, Amory, you are just to the north of the furthest northerly severe thunderstorm warning box. The severe thunderstorm warning does include Hastings, and then off to the south here, making your way toward Douglas and also out into Cannon Falls. Zooming out at the whole picture here, these are the locations where we have the severe thunderstorm warnings in place. They're pushing through the East Metro right now, moving at about 40 to 50 miles per hour due east and producing about 60 mile per hour winds. Strong wind gusts with this. So that is why we have this severe thunderstorm watch still in place. It goes till midnight, but I'm sure that we're going to see once this line of storms moves off to the east, they're going to end up dropping those counties back behind it, just as what you saw for Hennepin County and the counties here once the storms do blow through. But anyone in those severe thunderstorm watch counties will be watching for this, either straight line winds or also I'd say the main threat would be straight line winds associated with these storms. So we still have 3 of them here on the board when it comes to your straight line wind damage of 60 mile per hour winds. They could be pushing in toward Baldwin right now, out towards Cottage Grove. Red Wing, you're still further off to the east, and we'll see if we end up getting any more of these severe thunderstorm warnings issued as these storms continue to push off to the east. But let's go and look at the locations that are clear of the severe thunderstorm warnings back on the back edge to the west. So just along St. Paul, you're just off to the west. You're out of the severe thunderstorm warning. The damage that you are going to see tonight has already moved through. Same deal as we look out to Bloomington, Burnsville. You're still underneath the severe thunderstorm warning, but you're on the western edge. So these, the strongest reflectivity and the strongest winds are just passing I-35 right now and pushing off to the east, making their way to the east of Lakeville right now, but pushing into Empire, starting to make their way toward Randolph, and then shortly should be making their way toward Highway 52 and out toward Cannon Falls. And we'll continue to see the severe thunderstorm warning again does move into the Douglas area with this furthest south severe thunderstorm warning, which is for Dakota and also Goodhue counties. And we're going to continue to watch the 40 mile per hour movement of these storms off to the east, and again with the potential of 60 mile per hour winds coming out of them, bringing them into Cannon Falls within about 8 11:54 p.m. So that is the time that you could be dealing with either power outages or also downed trees if these storms continue to hold the intensity that we've been seeing with them, which is why they are severe thunderstorm warned in those areas. A little bit closer to the Hastings region, looking at the storm just off to your west, notice we're starting to see a little bit of a downgrade with the reflectivity, at least here near the Cottage Grove area. So at least noticing that we'll see if they end up reissuing some of these severe thunderstorm warnings as the storms push off to the east. But for now, we are looking at a lot of these storms at least to the east of Minneapolis, east of St. Paul. You are now in the clear. Same deal as we look out to Shoreview. Locations still underneath the severe thunderstorm warning do include Hudson, New Richmond, looking out toward Roberts, also out into Stillwater, and that is as far north as the severe thunderstorm warning does go. Right now, the strongest winds moving through New Richmond, and I'm actually seeing reports of even transformers being struck by lightning, trees down. So that's, you know, another reason we could be dealing with some power outages across the area, because power poles being taken down. Also any of these straight line wind damage of at least 60 to 70 miles per hour. And we're going to continue to track this toward the Baldwin area. Right now, Hudson, you're seeing the storms push through your area and New Richmond. So this severe thunderstorm warning for the next 11 minutes for Polk, St. Croix, and also for Washington counties. For those of you in Hastings, you are starting to see the severe thunderstorm warned storm just start to push into your area. Should be making its way into Denmark, coming up here shortly. And then further off to the south, the storms have just pushed past Highway 52 and continue to move off to the east and should be pushing their way in toward Cannon Falls there. And zooming out, these are the 3 severe thunderstorm warnings that we have in place. They just happen to be right over the populated areas here across the East Metro region. Just from all the way up to Polk, St. Croix, and Washington counties, further off to the south toward Dakota and also Goodhue counties. These do continue till about 9:15 p.m. All the storms, again, they're moving to the east at 40 miles per hour. And let's go ahead and clear these out of here and see where you can notice the storm motion with these. Just kind of blasting through the Twin Cities metro area, off into the East Metro at least now, and continue to progress off to the east. Zooming out, where we do have the whole line of storms right now across the entire state. When it comes to the severe storms, they are all focused in here across the East Metro and the Twin Cities. There's another severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued, so that just does go to show that we are not seeing this straight line windstorm that's pushing through. It's not necessarily diminishing. It's continuing its intensity as it pushes off to the east. That is why we have the severe thunderstorm warning in place for Barron, Dunn, Polk, and St. Croix counties. This is the latest severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued here.
Are you surprised it's not dissipating in strength now? The sun's going down, and it's been going on for so long.
Right, as Frank was just asking, are we not surprised that it isn't dissipating as the sun went down and as it pushes off to the east? No, I think that as Mike had said earlier, the good thing is that the forecast, actually, we did have a heads up on this. You know, we did have a tornado watch that went out earlier, went out to the west, then it was followed by a severe thunderstorm watch that did pop up further to the east, and that forecast did pan out. So at least we had a heads up on that, because we did anticipate when you have wind shear, that's when you get the tornadic part of the thunderstorms. When you look at the straight line wind damage, that is based upon these bowing out, or these bowing lines of storms, which are exactly what we're seeing. Real quick, let's take a look at this latest severe thunderstorm warning. For those of you in western Wisconsin, I want to make sure that we get the timing here for you guys. Barron, Dunn, Polk, and St. Croix counties seeing this severe thunderstorm warning. Again, it's moving to the east. Now this time it's going at 50 miles per hour. So they've been running about 40 to 50 miles per hour with a lot of these storms. So we'll continue to time this one out. Further, let's go ahead and clear this out a little bit. Time this out, moving to the east, of course. at about 50 miles per hour, so making its way into Emerald here shortly, and then timing out as it makes its way toward Vance Creek 906, Boyceville coming in at 906. Clear Lake should be moving in within about a few minutes or so. Looks like we do have some damage photos, so let's go ahead and get to those. If we can.
About this photo, so Paul Hurley in Prior Lake asked me a question specifically about this for you guys, and it relates to a photo like this. He said he'd never seen like these pink colors or the orange colors like we're seeing here. Is that just an anomaly or
sunset?
Why is it so? What's with the color, Lisa?
I would assume it's being taken during sunset. You know, a lot of these storms came through. We usually get, you know, we usually do get a lot of these. Whenever we get sunset, we get the rays bending through the atmosphere. We can often see that. So this is probably, I would assume, has to do something with the fact that just the timing of when he took this picture.
Got it. And you know what? We'll look at some other pictures in a second, but we have John Marshall with us right now. He's with Xcel Energy. John, it's Frank Vassalero. You're live on WCCO. Can you hear me?
I can, Frank.
Good. Thanks for joining us. Can you give folks a status report on what's going on with your customers?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. We've been tracking this strong system for quite a while now, and saw it approaching, had been completed quite a bit of preparations, prepared crews, prepared materials. It was a real strong system that came through, significant winds, a lot of water, as everyone kind of watched. Right now we've got about 52,000 customers out. That's really concentrated right now in the core metro. The system's moving eastward, of course, now into our Wisconsin territory. So we're really well prepared for this one. We've got crews out now, a couple of hundred mobilized. They'll be working all night, working hard to get the energy restored to customers quickly and safely.
52,000 sounds like a big number to me, but I don't know what kind of context to put that in. Does that surprise you, or is that small?
You know, that's I would say it's probably appropriate for the strength of the system that rolled through pretty quickly. A lot of strength, a lot of wind. You know, summer we see a lot of inclement weather like this, so we're prepared for that. We have plans in place, and we were, like I said, tracking this system for quite some time. So 52,000 is what we have now. We'll see probably some of those numbers rise as we start to make some repairs and identify some additional outages out there. But we have a plan for this. We were planning for this system. Like I said, crews will be out all night working quickly, safely. Certainly want to remind the public, if they're out there and they see any down power lines, please stay away. Certainly if they're out of power, encourage them to report their outages, and we do have call-in numbers. We have a texting number, and if folks do have the Xcel Energy app, they can certainly submit their outage via our app as well. Okay, good. That's what I was wondering about. I didn't know if you could tell automatically or if you wanted them to report. So it sounds like they should use one of those mechanisms to get a hold of you. Yes, that's correct, okay. and happy to provide that information to CCO to share with your viewers. Yeah, we'll make sure we get it on the website. I know a lot of folks have your number. I didn't know you had an app. That's a good idea as well, and all those other lines. So, John, we're going to try to wrap up and get off the air here in about 4 minutes, so I don't want to keep you, but anything else that's important people should know that I didn't ask you, and then we'll say goodnight. Yeah, no, just encourage again, folks, be safe. If you see those down power lines, stay away. Know that Xcel's out there. We'll be working all night to get that power back on. Okay, well, we appreciate it. John Marshall with Xcel Energy, 52,000 people out. But Lisa, the storm's certainly no surprise to them. They saw it coming. They kind of prepared, and they're out there working right now. And Lisa, we're going to try to sign off at 9 o'clock unless there's other things going on. So I don't know what you need to do in terms of a final tour here in the last few minutes. Yeah, that sounds good, because we are seeing the majority of the area across the metro. It's continued to push off to the east here. It's to the east of the Twin Cities, at least. Minneapolis, you're in the clear. Looking out toward Mendota Heights, you're pretty much in the clear. Woodbury, same deal. We have the line of severe storm, 60-mile-per-hour winds that would be pushing basically from New Richmond through Hudson. So it is traveling along 94 there near Baldwin. Through River Falls, Hastings, you're probably seeing some of the, or hearing some of the stronger winds moving through your area. Strong reflectivity just off to the west of Cannon Falls. These are all the areas underneath the severe thunderstorm warnings. And again, these warnings are due to 60-mile-per-hour winds that could be pushing through. So for western Wisconsin until 9:30 p.m., Barron, Dunn, Polk, St. Croix counties, also Dakota and Washington counties until
9 p.m. underneath that severe thunderstorm warning. Continue to look further up to the South Dakota and Goodhue counties underneath the severe thunderstorm warning. And we are seeing a lot of these severe thunderstorms expiring back off to the west of this. So this line will continue to progress into western Wisconsin. So you want to stay weather aware for those areas that are pretty much just off to the east of this line of storms. You could see it here on radar near Rice Lake. Strong storms could be pushing in, though right now the severe thunderstorm warnings are all focused in basically just to the east of the Twin Cities, pushing in from Baldwin further off to the south near Cottage Grove, and then to the west of Red Wing. And we'll continue to loop this so you can see where the storms are moving on further off to the east. Of course, because we've had so many reports of downed power lines and also trees, if you are in the clear out into the Twin Cities, it'd be best bet, of course, to just stay home now that it's dark. You can't see what's out on the roadways, especially with some locations further to the north where we saw some heavy rains with some of these storms, so you can't see any of those local flooded out regions. That is definitely still a possibility. So those of you underneath the severe thunderstorm warnings do include the locations out into Baldwin. Right now we have 4 severe thunderstorm warnings that are on the board. These storms will continue to move to the east at about 40 to 50 miles per hour, and they are producing 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So do prepare for the potential power outages if you are underneath these severe thunderstorm warnings, which do include these locations: Dakota, Goodhue County, again out into western Wisconsin, St. Croix, Dunn, Polk, and also Barron counties. These go until 9:30 p.m. We have probably until about 10 p.m. before we continue to see these storms push on out of the area.
Awesome. Lisa, thank you. Quite a Friday night, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. If need be and there are additional warnings, Lisa will cut back in, but we're going to go ahead and send you to programming. We had crews as far north as St. Cloud. We have a lot of crews in the metro. We're going to make sure that we kind of recap and get an idea of where the damage is and assess what's going on and have all this information for you tonight on WCCO 4 News at 10. See you then.